We're back. I played like shit that game. That's why I wanted you to review it. All right, cool. Cool. Unfortunately, I can see that you're not here anymore. But, I still read the message. All of them. I got myself some cookies. Sometimes you just gotta love yourself. Alright, so there's a console team. It's plat. The range is plat, pretty much. Scrims were from 3 days ago, so like Friday or Thursday or something like that. So it was Thursday. So we're just gonna go. What was the first map flip? What did we play first? Nepal, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna go in order. And I kind of don't want to spend more than like an hour and a half. I'm trying to like pace my coaching so that what is it? I can like I want to get better at being able to do these a little bit like quicker. So nice. All right, so we are the blue team, which is gonna make my life a lot easier. But we're gonna be pretty much watching this from overhead with spectate overlay on for the most part because like I said, I want to try to look at team stuff mostly. Alright, so the first thing we were going to talk about is compositions. Compositions are fun. So, compositionally, we are running Ryan, Sigma, McCree, Farah, Mercy, Moira. Okay, so we have two main supports. We have a Farah McCree, which is, I don't think, such a bad combo of DPS. Reinhardt, Sigma can kind of work together. But they don't really complement each other in any way. Like, Sigma can cover for Reinhardt in certain ways. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. But it's not going to be like... He's not going to... like, they're not going to synergize with each other naturally in the way that, like, a Zarya and a Reinhardt would, right? Like, Zarya likes Reinhardt playing aggressive because she gets more charge off people shooting him. And vice versa. Like, he likes being aggressive because then he gets more ult charge and then he can do it without getting punished. So they're not going to synergize, but they are going to be able to work together. It's not like they're going to hurt each other. But you're playing into the Rein Zarya, which is going to naturally synergize. May Reaper on a Brig. So the enemy team looks like they're already running like a set composition. And I think that's going to be one of the big things that you're basically going to be fighting uphill with, right? Is because none of these heroes are naturally going to really going to want to work together. I mean, Mercy and Farah, Mercy and McCree is going to be great to kind of like have, just because they McCree and Farah do very, very good when they have pocket. The breaks points change in such a way that you really have to be afraid of them on a different level. Because now Farah can pretty much one-shot you. McCree can almost one-shot you with a headshot. But it's not like this composition wants to brawl. It's not like this composition wants to poke. It's not like this composition wants to dive or anything like this. It doesn't really do any one particular thing, right? McCree's going to want to play from a nice, comfortable mid to close range. Farah's going to want to spam from off angles. I think those two work fine. Moira's going to want to sit behind the tanks. The tanks are going to want to brawl and spam at the same time. So the enemy composition is going to brawl. They're going to do one thing and they're going to do it well. Our composition isn't going to do one thing well because we're going to try to do a bunch of things all at the same time. So let's see what happens when we actually wind up clashing. Let's see. Hopefully I can get good camera work in here so that we can actually see things clearly. But they're going to push in very easily off the start. And you'll see that we're already sustaining more damage. Just because we're not designed to necessarily brawl out as much. And they're in close range, they're going to have a lot more sustain and a lot more damage output. They got a nice little flank there on Reaper. So we generally, one of the problems that I've noticed with the team is that we generally don't have somebody who is consistently checking for flankers in our support line. So normally we have Bill and Lunik, those are our two support players, and they play very much facing forward. And this becomes a problem because the DPS are often looking to get at picks as well, and the tanks really can't. The off tank can, but the main tank definitely can't be like constantly checking for flankers because the main tank is supposed to always be facing forward. Like that's where they get all their values from, really taking the brunt of the fight and being the center of the fight. So we don't really have anybody who checks these kind of like flanks and stuff like that consistently, or at least pays attention to when somebody might be behind, and that becomes a problem. It can be so many different people. Excuse me, sorry. But in this composition, it's probably smart for it to either be the Sigma or the McCree because they can both counter the flanker very easily. Or not very easily, but at least they have a kit to counter it. If Moira checks the flanks here, all Moira's going to be doing is calling out the flank for somebody else to deal with it. Normally what would happen when you have a Mercy is the Mercy would be able to watch the flank because as a Mercy you don't have much mechanical demands. So you could spend a lot of time, like looking around the map, getting a good sense of the game state while you're just latched onto somebody. But far as playing from a flank angle here themselves, so there's no real way for the Mercy to be like checking out things like that. So we're going to get rolled over because we don't have as much sustain and as much damage in the close range composition. And we don't have, we're missing two people from the ground, right? So Pharah has to get a lot of value up there because we're essentially losing shield pressure. And that allows the Brawl comp to really run us over because they're all about putting pressure onto the shield, putting pressure onto the main brunt of the fight. So if Pharah's not getting enough value there to make up for that and put pressure onto the backline, then that's going to be trouble for the rest of the team. But they get a good flank in. We don't get as good a flank in. They have a better composition, and they wind up winning the point. Now, I know we lose this. We lose the first and we lose the last one, but we lose the last one because, we lose one of the people we're playing with. Oh, actually, Bill isn't in this one. That's right. Because he was unavailable for this night, so that's something I need to take into account. That last slot is not somebody that we traditionally play with. So big anti coming through. Actually, we've made some compositional swaps. So now we're a little bit more brawly with a Rein Zarya. McCree's gonna like this because it's gonna allow him to kind of like play not more aggressively, but play closer in flash range because he's gonna have two tanks kind of soaking up damage in front of him. This anti is really big because it's gonna stop you as a Reinhardt from pushing forward, and it's really gonna stunt the push. So a little bit of a miscommunication forces roll out there. You didn't need to hop that far back as Reinhardt. You need to calm if you're going to hop that far back because you definitely exposed your team there for a second. Drop shields. They get good shatter in. But McCree's going to like this brawly composition just because, yeah, he could play in flash range. He could do a lot more. He could fan the hammer if he needs to. Or if he wants to, really, even. Ooh, that last rocket really almost hit. It was close. I was watching that real time too, and I was really hoping that pick would come through. Okay, so this is one of the biggest problems with this map is that engagements are a little bit difficult on Shrine. So everybody feels like it's ideal to walk down mid, but it's only ideal to walk down mid the first time because after that everybody has like position on point, and you're going to be walking into a ton of poke damage that you can't return all your way there. So against this composition, it's not the worst, right? Because they don't have a ton of poke. The only person who can really poke you consistently is the Ana. Zarya can kind of do it. Mei can kind of do it. She could wall you off and stuff like that. But you definitely have the poke advantage here. But when you play into teams that have good poke, you're not gonna want to come down main because it's gonna eat up a ton of shield health. You're already at 1,000 and they don't even really have any poke. That's an annoying noise. Jesus. So imagine if they had, like a McCree or an Ashe or something like that that could really do damage to you. Even a Hanzo could really put pressure onto the shield. So you have to be aware of these alternate angles that you could come through. So once you regroup, you can regroup back here and wind up going top. Going top is going to... Does control go fast? No, shift is go fast. Holy shit, that's fast. Going top is going to allow your McCree to get good positioning, or your longer sightline characters to get good positioning on a high ground, and choose when they want to actually get into the engagement. Sorry, I didn't want to hit play. The other option, if you're not going to go main, is to go under. So if you go under, you have the mega that you're going to cross, and you're going to come up very, very close to the point, similarly to top, and you're just going to have this lone structure here, and then this pillar to provide you cover as you advance. But both of them are going to let you avoid poke damage. So it's not going to be something here that is really going to be punishing your team, but it is something that I've seen punish this team before. So again, no flanker, no awareness of real flankers or anything like that. Nobody checking out for where the Reaper is. Ana's going to get isolated and killed, but we're still going to flip the point because we kind of rolled them over. This is a good pushback by them. The biggest problem here is that we're a little bit like unaware of the fact that they're pushing back into us. And it lets them, you know, open up gaps in our defense and take advantage of isolated targets or people who are maybe, you know, even just slightly further away than you might want them to be in that situation. Good pick off on the Ashe. Okay, defense on this point. So we're going to go into a barrage here. The one thing that I would have liked to see before this barrage is an actual call out of just like, hey, I'm looking to barrage. That's something that I've been trying to get everybody to do more and more. It's just kind of calm like what you want from the team or what you're trying to do, because it would have been very easy for your Zarya to like get LOS on you to bubble you, or your Mercy to like time getting to you to try to like damage boost you so that she's not exposed but that you get the extra buff. But like small plays like that can't be made if nobody knows what you're trying to do. Like it can be a really, really good Zarya is gonna look up and see you in the sky, and you know, if we identify the enemies, they're gonna be like, oh shit, that Pharah wants to do that. But you're not playing with like God Zarya right now, right? You're playing with like mid-plat Zarya. Like we need to understand each other's limitations and kind of work around one another. So calming here that you want a barrage is, I mean, this is a great barrage, but throwing on a bubble is going to stop anybody from being able to deny this from happening. If this Ana decided to be a legend for a second, or if Ryan 180 fire strike you in the Brig whip shot, I mean, you can die to these things very quickly and very easily. But you get good value. Good res. Good instant res. I love that instant res. So generally when you play defense, on some of these or most of these points, when you can, you want to try to get a little bit spread out, right? So if we're looking into it, you guys are all stacked in the same location, which means if the enemy tanks wanted to protect their team, they just have to block one point of view. And I mean, Pharah's going to go into the sky and create an off angle or whatnot. But the McCree could very well... Oh, you know what I don't have up? Holy shit. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Epic pen. Where is it? Hello? Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the McCree could very well like maneuver over here and create additional line of sights while the Pharah is shooting down from above. Don't you love my arrows? And then, you know, the Ana and the Zarya could be spamming down from mid. And these three sightlines are going to make it very difficult for the enemy team to kind of like push into you. Because they're going to have to try to block different perspectives or different lines of sight, and it's going to create openings that they don't want to be there, right? So Pharah, you're going to go off to one side. McCree should really be going off to the other side, and you should really be playing opposite angles in that way. Ideally, I think you want the Pharah... Oh, shit. Hold on. Ideally, I think you want the Pharah to be on this left side over here. There's plenty of buildings to kind of slide around and block line of sight over here, whereas on the right side is very big open airspace over there that you want to be careful of. I think McCree can get a lot of benefit from going off to that right side. Like, it doesn't matter which side McCree necessarily goes to, as long as he doesn't overplay his hand and go too far and, like, get isolated and picked off, right? But then Ana has to be, you know, aware of that and play from the appropriate sightline. So if McCree's playing from the right, then Ana should play from the back right. If McCree's playing from the left, then Ana should play from the back left. And that's how you just respond to one another on this map and just figure out how you want to play it. But playing this far on this this right side over here, it's just a little bit more riskier than I think the left side, just because, like I said, that open airspace. So Reaper's going to get that good TP in. He's gonna have to TP out because of the Pharah. But Ashe is able to get that pick because of that open airspace. I mean, I don't think there's much you could do there except maybe use this pillar as cover. But if you're not gonna, play that pillar for cover, then you definitely need to be playing closer to this tall objective space because you need to be able to suddenly block line of sight. But now you're putting your team at a disadvantage because you played out in the open and the Ashe finally hit her shots. Flank comes in again. Not a bad shatter, but the backing wasn't there for it, right? The shatter was to counter the grab, and it would have been great because it would have neutralized things. But the Reaper's able to still get value because he's not shattered. He's split from his team. At some point, you have to recognize when somebody's habitually playing split or playing a flank, because then you need to be able to punish that, right? There's no reason that somebody who consistently does the same thing shouldn't at least get some type of punish, right? Especially at this rank and this level. Give me 1 second, actually, because I just realized that I am not... I could very well just tell people that I'm streaming in the thing if they wanted to. Hold on. Cut this part out. Cut it out in post. Alright. Okay, so yeah. Nobody's checking the Reaper. He's doing it consistently. It's just kind of a little bit like, you know? Like if he's done it twice already, he's done it 3 times. He's gonna do it 4 times. He's gonna do it 5 times. It's not gonna stop until you make him stop. Until you punish him to the point where he says, "Wait, this doesn't work." So let's see what happens a little bit more here. Okay, so the Reaper comes up on the flank again, and this is really I think what winds up crumbling, right? Because we have good, decent sustain on point. Zarya maybe overplays a little bit because you look a little bit far back. Let's go back and see. I'm watching. Yo, what's up? Thanks for being here. I thought that was a different person. I asked my girlfriend to just keep the stream up because whatchamacallit? I wanted to make sure that my audio was coming through all right. But let's see what happens with Zarya here. Yeah. So it's just an overplay on Zarya's part. It was just a bad rotation around pole wall antied. There was no, I don't know. The tanks have to move in the same direction if you're playing around Zarya. You can't split them like that. Unless you're really like situated and the Rhine's like able to kind of like exist with all of his resources freely, then Zarya is able to split off, but definitely not into the enemies with your back facing them. I think that's just a misplay that, it's just unfortunate. So yeah, this Reaper again is gonna come around. I think this is maybe the 4th or 5th time, like I was saying, and he's just gonna clean up this fight. So this is 1 mistake by the Zarya, 2 like a lack of awareness from the team, lack of kind of like cohesion in terms of what everybody's doing, and then the team crumbles after that because that's 3 players down. Now I want to go back just because I really liked this shot. Oh nice. I was watching this and I was just personally I can't hit shots like this, so it was just nice to see. It was just nice. It was just so nice. I don't even think that really should have hit looking back at it, but like, it's just nice. It was a nice little flick, especially in, hold on, should we see it in real time? Real time always does it a little bit more justice. It was just nice. Alright, anyway, so you guys are going to lose this one out. Mostly because that Reaper keeps putting pressure onto your backline. I think the first push you lose because of composition. And the Reaper, but this last 2 you definitely lose because the Reaper is able to just get in there and clean things up, take too much advantage of a lack of awareness, It's cookie time. Chocolate chip cookies are best cookies. Only followed by cinnamon raisin. No cap. Alright, composition time. So, this is brawly, brawly, brawly. And there's not a lot of healing, though. So, generally, what is going to be the benefit of this composition is going to be that you have a Sombra with your low sustain. So, you're going to have a lot of AoE healing. So, as long as you're getting your Brig into the fight frequently, you're going to, come up with a lot of, value in terms of healing. Like, you're going to make up for the lack of, like, just a main healer or somebody who just outputs a shit ton of healing, because the Brig is going to be able to kind of complement the Lucio healing and do that. Lucio should be looking to speed the team at right time. So you want to transition your team from cover to cover, or across big sight lines, or into positions where they can really pressure the enemy and make them uncomfortable. I know that's a lot of different situations that to be looking for, but on every map they're going to be very, very specific. So you're out of the gate, you're going to want to speed as Lucio on almost every one of these KOF maps, because gaining control of the map early on is going to be important, right? You both start on equal terms, so if you can just instantly get to your spots faster, you just get more map control because you just get there sooner. So there's no reason to not speed out of the gate on KOF maps. But the benefit, going back to the composition itself and just like the healing, is that the Sombra is going to be able to live separate from the team as a whole. So Sombra can hack health packs, which will kind of boost your team healing if your team plays around the health packs that are hacked. But she can also, kind of ignore the healers themselves and just play on her own. It's going to be inoptimal, of course, when you play around, like when the Sombra can get some healing as well. It'll speed up her play a little bit more. But it's just, it's just nice if you don't have a ton of healing in your composition that you have a Sombra. Or even the Reaper, who has self-heal if he has, like, lifesteal. The only other character, that you're really going to want is maybe a Soldier, but Soldier doesn't work in this composition as well because he's not as brawly. So he doesn't do as well. So yeah, Amp would have been nice here. I don't know if the Amp's going to come out in a little bit. No, okay. Amp would have been nice here just to get more map control earlier, like I was saying. Let's see where this fight goes. So we're going to rotate around left side. I like the decisiveness, the fact that you're moving as a team. Alright, so we get rocked. So the problem with Reinhardt right now is that there's so much stun in the game that he's gonna get, it's gonna be a very skill-based matchup against Orisa Sigma, because especially, Doomfist Brig. I mean, there's Ana. Every one of these characters has some form of CC, so make sure that you're not just turning the first corner and, like, throwing out your abilities all the time, because sometimes you have to, like, gauge what the enemy composition is gonna be and what's gonna happen. So you need to be able to block that. There's a ton of damage that can come through your team once you get rocked. Zarya should bubble that maybe. However you want to basically get that done, it just has to be a little bit more synergized in terms of, like, how the damage is going to get blocked once you turn the corner, because everybody's going to try to throw out their biggest abilities and their damage once the teams turn the corner in these elos, because everybody opens up their defenses usually once they first turn the corners. As Reinhardt, personally, I would just wait a second. Or Zarya, if you know your Reinhardt's going to throw out their abilities, just bubble instantly. But that's, I feel like, an inoptimal use of bubble, because now you'll have this whole space to traverse without having bubble, right? So that rock kind of slows you down a little bit. I don't think it really should have, personally. Now it should. I think you could have maybe still pushed a little bit forward, because this Brig is not going to get value unless you get him in there. And that's really gonna hurt, because Brig has to be in the fight to get value. So the fact that we don't get in there after that rock, after the fact that we slow down and hesitate at all, means that this Brig is just not doing anything. There's nothing that Brig can do here, except armor pack, which is very, very minimal healing, really. So this is the thing that I was talking about with Grayson, where he was kind of just getting a little bit over eager because the team was moving slower than necessary, and then he was getting punished because he was split. Like, he was too far forward or too far to the side from the team, compared to everybody else. So if when Reinhardt got rocked, if he just stood up and then continued forward, Grayson would have probably gotten a good amount of value, because that flank timing would have been pretty good. But because you guys hesitate and stop moving forward, not only do you not get the Brig healing started, but you kind of like get mismatched timing. Grayson gets punished. The one thing I said Brig could have done is made sure that the armor pack management was good enough to save the Lucio so that he didn't just burn to death. And that just means not like over packing, you know, and not like packing too early. Like you have to know when's just too much, or when it's more worth seeing if they're just gonna die. What, like the Lucio can try to heal up a little bit or speed you in faster so that you can get that value faster. But if you armor pack someone 2 times and they could have lived at 170 health and they didn't really need that full health, that's just a little bit of an overplay. Like we can min max that a little bit more, you know. Like you could teeter the line if you're still waiting to get into that fight and get value. So this is now just a bit all over the place because your tank's never disengaged fully, and what's gonna happen here is your tank's resources are gonna stay low, their health is gonna stay low, and they're not gonna ever feel comfortable pushing forward. So sorry, that was annoying. So they're just going to, like, this is a very, very slow push out. They're picking you apart by splitting you up, making you impatient, and making you constantly waste your resources. In order to counter that, you need very clean disengages and engages. You need to get out completely, reset all your resources, come in, speed in, and get on them fast, right? Be decisive and, you know, do it together. So you're now pushing forward, but you're split now because Brig is chasing off Sigma. Not bad because she wound up getting the pick, but nobody's getting her healing. Grayson went too early because everybody was sitting around for too long and winds up dying again. Now you're taking point because you've managed to get, like, you know, like these messy sloppy picks. But the engagement to getting there wasn't good, right? Like you win that team fight, but the path there wasn't clean. At any point, the enemy team could have just been a little bit better, hit maybe a few more shots or even maybe one shot, and then turn the entire team fight. There's no reason to leave it on that much kind of like a seesaw when you could just optimize your team play a little bit more, be a little bit more cleaner and decisive as a unit with moving forward. I think part of what saved that is the Brig going to chase down the Sigma, because then the Sigma couldn't run away and come back with full health. But at the same time, once that Brig leaves her team, it kind of leaves everybody else without healing, and it gives the enemies an opportunity to capitalize on. So it was a risky play. It wound up working. I don't congratulate that. I'm not sure why you rallied and then backed up here. It would have been nice to see you hold that door and have your team kind of like come closer to you. I understand that you were confirming the kill on the Brig. So maybe it is more worth it, but I hope, let's see, do you guys push? You should really be pushing hard with this rally, like hard. Like you should be in this room. Rally is such a good ultimate. It has such good sustain because not only are you applying armor, which mitigates damage onto your allies, but you can also hit targets and still do healing. You get a lot of value out of that. You wouldn't have needed to beat if you were just played this more aggressively. Like you had once rally was up, you had the sustain. And now you've beat and you still lost your Lucio. So now you're just like losing a ton of value. Now you're down and you're playing forward and you don't have beat to save anybody and you only have a Brig for healing and your Brig split up. Like there's just too many things that are happening here that are just like, play together, focus the bulk of the team, make sure that you guys are disengaging when your resources are low and are communicating, hey, my shield's low. Hey, I don't have a lot of health. Hey, can we back up? Like you need to just talk about these things and communicate so that everybody knows like what they should be doing. Because what's happening is somebody's getting hurt, somebody's getting scared and backing off, the team is getting compromised. Somebody sees an opportunity off to the side, so they go chase them alone, so the team is compromised. Somebody is unsure about what everybody else is doing, so they use an ultimate, so the next fight is compromised. And these are just unnecessary mistakes. Good pick. I like with that tire that it's not like you didn't go for too much. I feel like it could have been maybe executed a little bit more. Like we could look back at it and probably be like, oh, this is what you're doing. But like it's very like you just went for the Doomfist. You understood the value of getting a single pick. You cleaned it up even though you didn't execute it perfectly, and then you moved on. Okay, that's funny. So the just you could have rode the wall a little bit and used the third person perspective to kind of get a better bearing on the situation, or just instantly detonated it because you knew that they were very close to the corner. Um, but yeah, like I said, then you're gonna clean this up, and it's a good solid pick. The value of the pick of a single pick in Overwatch can be so big, but it can only be big if you play a clean team game. So right now this pick is going to be decent, but if you guys continue to give the enemy team opportunities after you get these picks, you're devaluing the value. Like you're removing the value from these picks and from these opportunities that you guys create, right? Like if you shield everybody properly and give that Ashe very minimal sight lines or very minimal gaps through the defenses, and you manage to actually play clumped and actually play the proper positionings, then you'll be able to slowly do more damage and more healing in the enemy team just because you got that one pick early on, right? So you don't push around this corner. You're not taking advantage of the pick. They have rally up, so it's almost understandable. But you have a lot of ultimates, so I guess let's just see what you do. Let's see what you do. Let me stop nitpicking. Okay, so Fluxed. They have a lot of ultimates up. Not a bad stick. I mean, okay, so it was a bad stick just because you can't confirm that kill because nobody's pushing forward. But if the team had been pushing, it would have been a good stick, and it would have been able to get more value. Unfortunate sleep, good anti. Well then. Well then. Alright, so this is again this mismatch kind of cohesion. There's no reason that you came here and had to back off. You had ultimates, they had rally up, sure, but you very well could have just shielded and pushed forward, and then if they expose themselves and try to push into you, you have shield, you have grab, you had pulse, you had so many options to kind of counter them, but because you play slowly into them, they're able to start finding opportunity to use their ultimates on you guys. So this is the same thing that I was saying, right? The only thing that counters a lot of ultimates is quickly used ultimates, right? So if that Sigma Flux gets 5 or something like that and kills 2, then that's more value than, you know, anybody else can get because they're too dead to use their fucking ultimates. So I think there you're kind of putting between a rock and a hard place a little bit, just because it's like you don't want to push forward into Brig ult, but you have to. Like you have to figure out how to get that value still. Minus the raisin. Oh. No, the raisin is the best part. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so we're still blue, so that's nice. I think we swapped to red after this or something like that. Let's talk about composition. So, D.Va Reinhardt doesn't have no synergy. It's just similar to D.Va Sigma, they don't necessarily do anything for one another. I don't know. They work together. You can defense matrix Reinhardt when he's going in, but D.Va doesn't get anything out of that. You can bomb shatter. That's a nice combo. So that's a nice little synergy there. But it's usually an overkill in terms of ultimates. You can generally pull something similar off without trying to use 2 big tank ultimates to open up a fight or win a fight. Ashe Hanzo. So you have 2 good long range sightline snipers. I could be really good on King's Row. You don't normally want to play Widow in King's Row anymore just because Ashe is so effective in these kind of like medium ranges that King's Row is mostly medium range. Like the only long sightline on first point is from that top window down. But everywhere else, Ashe does more than enough, has more than enough impact on the game to be played over Widow. But you have double snipers, so you're really going to be playing for picks. You're really going to be playing for spam damage. You're really going to be looking to see if you can, you know, isolate targets and, you know, punish them for maybe playing too far back or too far forward or too far away from cover or something like that. Bappa Zenyatta, you're going to be shitting out a ton of damage. I like this composition as a whole. I feel like it's synergized as well because you have a lot of shield break. You have a lot of long range characters that can poke the enemy down and kite and play from different angles. And you have two tanks that can really hold their own. And D.Va can clear high ground. Rein can hold choke. You know, there's all sorts of different flexibility that you have with this composition. This is a very pokey type composition. It does want to spread out and kite. So what I would like to see more of is taking advantage of these high grounds. I've said it before. I'll say it again 1,000 times. Spread out a little bit. You don't need to sit behind your shield all the time, right? You can use cover. You can use the map geometry to protect yourself. You can play near health packs. You can, you know, have pathings for escape planned ahead of time that aren't dependent on the rest of your team. If you really wanted to, you could even take a single support with you. Let's say if Ashe wanted to play up here, she could play up here with Bap if she wanted, alone. Or she could play up here with Zen if she wanted. Or Hanzo could play up here with Zen. And then Ashe could play from, you know, like up over here. Or maybe even down over here, you know? And then Rein could play up and choke. And D.Va could play up on, you know, walls or statue or whatever. Or D.Va could play up here with the Ashe. There's all sorts of options, but you don't need to just clump together all the time. There's no reason for you to just be playing stacked on one another consistently. Because as much as it gets just easy value, it's not really maximizing the map. You're not really playing the map. You're just playing like you're playing a hallway pretty much, where you when you stand behind your shield, have nowhere else to go but behind the shield, and if the shield dies, you die. But that's not what the game is. The game has corners, it has short walls, it has long walls, it has tall walls. Good pick. But it would be nice, like I was saying, to have somebody kind of up here or kind of up here, where you could still even break the line of sight of Widow, but you can get value by throwing dynamite over shield, or nice spray, or get value by being up here and forcing somebody to come up here and actually contest you, or forcing them to, you know, choose between looking up or looking down, I guess. I don't know. But, like, you can make them make decisions throughout the game by just trying to play the map a little bit more. So Genji's going to go behind. I'm going to assume, I'm just going to throw it out there, that this Genji was the Reaper. So he's on your back line. He's out. Clean Genji play. Not a good D.Va boosters, because now you can be punished if they had like traditional CC that they would normally have. Like if they had a brick or something, they definitely could have punished you. And you're able to get out, but you're gonna use a lot of resources to get out, and you're gonna require a lot of healing. So this is just an overextension, and then you still don't recognize that you need to get out, and you're gonna require a lot more resources now. So that was just an overplay. Well, I mean, it's an overplay, and I'm talking about, but that's Boop, right? Is that Boop, or is that... Oh, no, it's Hetero, okay. Boop's not with us anymore. Good pick on the Widow. Genji's gonna go on that flank again. Honestly, I'm not harping on compositions too much because I don't care what you guys play, really. Like, as long as you don't play something stupid like fucking Hog Ball and, like, let's say Hanzo, fucking... I don't know, what's another... Who just doesn't really work with Hanzo? I don't know, there's a lot of DPS heroes. Like Hanzo Reaper or something like that, and then you wind up playing, like, Zen Lucio. Like, as long as you don't do something stupid like that, it doesn't matter what you do to me. Because you guys don't play at the highest level, so there's so many errors that the enemy team is making that you don't even have to be better yourself, but your team play could just be better. Your ability to work with other people and understand how to use the map could be better, you know? So it doesn't bother me too much what you guys play. But things like this, where this Genji is behind again, I mean, nice. Ashe is now contesting him. Ashe is now aware of him. Your team is now paying attention to him. Okay, he dies for it too. Good. This retreat is good. You could retreat more to this left side though. It would just give you better escape, because if you keep backing up here, they're going to put you in a corner and they're going to smack you with their big ass Rhine hammer. So I would like you to just kind of lean more towards that that left hand side, the back left side here. Just to kind of regroup. Side thing, let them get a tick. If you are low on tank resources and they push you hard, just hide, break line of sight, let them get a tick. if they overextend while you're trying to like gain resources, then they break line of sight with their team, or they're just all off point. Either of those is a win. You don't need to extend this far to, you know, try and save and stop them from getting up the tick, because if you had regrouped and come back, you would have prevented them from getting the second tick that I think they're going to get, because you don't, what is this defense at this point? You can't really do anything, you know, except I guess throw Bob down. But now they have this. Now there's almost no way for you to push back into this, because you're still respawning and regrouping, and you can't get back there fast enough to really do anything without taking huge risks. Okay. So we're pushing up. We're taking this corner. I like this. Again, I would like to see a little bit more spreading out. But there's not as much spreading out you could do right here. But you guys are just very stacked together. Somebody could be playing from this sight line over here with retreat to the mini. Somebody could be playing a little bit closer to this wall. It's just a matter of you're all out in the open, and the second this shield goes down, you give them the opportunity to pick you off. And I think that's what I had largely said to the supports during this, was that, or it was this hold on, who was it? I don't remember their name because we just played with them this one time. Yoshi. Which is that the positioning was very like out in the open, and once the shield was down, they were down. But this can apply to everybody, right? If you're not purposely playing, like Hanzo is playing very up right now, which is a little unnecessary, but understandable because of projectile speed and stuff like that. But if you're not specifically playing super far up, and even if you are, like, you should be close to the corners and stuff, you could be using the map geometry a little bit more, so your tanks don't always have to shield you. Like, there's no reason Reinhardt should have to block every morsel of damage for you to stay alive, when you could just use the wall, which has an infinite amount of health. Also, if you're going to hard shield here, you might as well touch cart. There's no reason to give them that space. It's almost pointless. Unless you think that they're just going to blow you up the second you get within that Rein's range, you should just be, like, touching cart. At the very least, you can, like, touch it and back up a little bit, touch it and back up to you just burn seconds. When you contest the cart, the contest lingers for a second, too. So you can kind of get away with doing some cheeky contests sometimes. If you trance, just follow the Genji. Don't try to follow your team, follow the Genji. If you trance Blade. That was a good hold. You used both your support ultimates. Not a bad thing. I think if you had managed to kind of like hold on to your abilities better, you could have just lamped for it. But I think that's just me being picky. Zen ult and Bap ult don't overlap in terms of what they do, so I'm not really too concerned about you using both support ults to win that fight. It's just a matter of now you just don't have support ults, I guess. I don't know. The optimal Overwatch is if you could get like one ult and win a fight on one ult. If you can do that, then you're dominating. Because nobody can beat that, right? Like if you just use one ult every fight, then you're always going to just be winning fights, because ults come up in such a rotation that if you're just using one ult every time, unless you're getting clean Diva Bomb wipes where nobody else can get any ult charge, like you're just doing really good at that point. You have really clean, your team play is then really good. Because let's say if you throw Diva Bomb and you get like 2 picks, that should win you the fight. You should be able to play cleanly enough, then you can then clean up the rest of the team, because that's a 4v6. You just threw out Bomb, got 2 picks, and now you're going to play into the 4v6. That's why you should never compromise your position to use an ultimate, because generally ultimate should get you free value, like at the end of the day. Good Bomb. I don't know how the Zarya got picked there. I think it could have been a little bit closer to like center. If you threw it a little bit higher maybe. But oh, sorry. All right. I'm not too worried about the mid fight, because honestly, the mid fight is just like whatever. Like, what happens in the mid-fight is largely going to happen in the mid-fight. There's, like, individual things that you guys can optimize mid-fight. But, excuse me, team-wise, unless there's like something like where you retreat to or like general positioning, that's all going to be predicated on like where you start from. So that's more so what I'm looking at. Like where are we starting from when we have these opportunities where we could just go wherever we want, where we could just set up, regroup, and chill for a second. What are we doing? And I'll tell you what, it's not the worst on second point, but I think it could be better. Like I said, just why does Reinhardt have to hard shield here so much? Because Hanzo isn't taking positioning that will protect him even if Rein drops shield. So every time Rein drops shield, Hanzo goes low, and then Rein feels like he has a hard shield, and then wastes shield trying to protect Hanzo in bad positioning. Doomfist lingering. I guess that's the Genji who is the Reaper. That's my assumption. As Reinhardt, you can punish the enemy by shielding them off from their team. Instead of just turning to swing on them, you can just shield, and then the like Zarya won't be able to bubble him, the supports won't be able to heal him, etc., etc., and then your team can focus on him. You could also body block him while holding your shield up and stuff like that. Like you turning to swing on him makes it so that his team is surrounding you as much as your team is surrounding him. Also, if you see something like that, you really have to capitalize on it as a team. Like, Hetero shouldn't have been abandoned like that. He was very, very isolated from you guys, and there was no reason for you to back up that hard when you had good enough health and their Rhine charged and put himself out of position. That was just a little bit of a, like, we play on the back foot too much, you know? This was alright, because the dragon winds up making it so that nobody wants to push up to follow up on that. I keep thinking that in the chat it says minus the Reinhardt, and I'm very confused, but it still just says minus the Raisin. That's just unfortunate. That's okay, so where does he land? So Doomfist ultimate generally, when he ults, if you're somebody like an Ana or Zen who can't do anything, like have no escape abilities, you want to play really, really close to the corner. Doomfist can ult right on the corner, which would have screwed you over, but he doesn't. So if you had just gotten around this corner, even if it's like right here-ish, you wouldn't have taken any damage and you would have been able to survive it. So as soon as you hear that Doomfist ult go up, you want to try to get as close as you can to some sort of pillar or corner so that you can try to break line of sight. That's really your only option there, unless you want to stand really close to this ledge so that you could fall off. But he's still going to do damage to you until you're like under. Like you have to be way down here because he still pierces through. So if he hits the corner here or like the ledge, he's like, there's not a lot you could do there as a Zen. That's pretty much a free pick for him. But you can make it difficult. You could have avoided that one because he misplayed a little bit. Like, he didn't do that perfectly. So that's just a little matchup-specific thing. I like the Ashe positioning here. I would have liked Hanzo to maybe be... Hanzo or D.Va, one of the two. Probably D.Va because D.Va can take more hits before dying and can kind of like... This is shotgun range and like micro missiles will splash a lot here. But I would have liked somebody to be taking advantage of this high ground here because it'll also check from this this long sightline and make sure nobody can flank. Somebody should also be looking to where behind where this Baptiste is just every now and again, just to be saying. And Ashe can use her positioning up here to not only check that long sightline across, but also to check this this far sightline across along the left side. You could even use dynamite just to corner check. So if you just want to throw dynamite and detonate it just to see if anybody's close around this corner, every now and again it'll kind of save fights. That's a good bomb. Moira, for some reason, getting caught out, or not caught out, but like is split again. So if you clean up a team fight and you don't I guess, you know, it's a minor thing, but if you happen to notice that there's somebody who didn't die in that team fight, and you were like, I know this person was in this fight, where the fuck did they go? You might want to start looking around, because this Moira has now gotten out twice and just been chilling in a corner somewhere. And those picks can kind of like take them, like that would have stretched out them getting, you know, to the fight with 6 people. Ooh. I'm not gonna look that over because I'm trying to look at full team stuff as much as I can, but that was probably just a misplay on some minor level. Like you gotta take careful duels. I talked about this one time when we were reviewing Volskaya. There's a clip for it, when it comes to like peeking and stuff like that. So, I'll link it or something. Maybe it's a banner that's up right now. Holy shit, that'd be crazy if I figured out how to do that. Do you see it? Does it look cool? Is it gone already, maybe, actually? Jesus, the contest... Okay, so this is good. This is just a good little thing. The contest radius is so fucking large that Bob is contesting this shit. He's like 3 years away from the cart, and they're like, nah, you're not allowed to move it. So we fall apart largely because Grayson gets picked. They come around the left side. They have nobody contest them there. And they collapse around you, and they get a lot of value. Bap here didn't need to go so close because Bob was contesting. So I think Bap pushes here because he thinks that nobody's going to be there. So this is one of those communication things that would clean up a lot of stuff, right? If Bap understands that Bob is going to be the one to contest point, if Ash communicates that, then Bap can back up, heal Bob, and just focus on doing other things. But I don't think that communication clearly came through. Like I said, what is it? Yeah, Yoshi isn't somebody who plays with us normally either way, so like you could even take that into account. But it's just something that I think can be cleaned up regardless if we can try to, because it's something I've noticed that we don't do. You don't communicate your intentions and what you want to do, and blah 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 blah. So Bap could have been healing Bob through all this, been able to contest longer, stay alive longer, have lamp up. You could have lamped Bob. Unfortunate jump, but they're gonna wind up taking that because you kind of over commit to contesting there, and there's no way to recover from that, you know. That's just a good dragon. That's unfortunate. I think you thought you were out of it, but lol, dude, what the fuck? All right then. We'll edit it out in post, I guess. So this is something that you guys can do too. Very aggressively take the space once you have control of the cart. You can... I don't think that their Reinhardt should be so far forward, because if you manage to get out there and ult him or something like that, you could very easily like split him from his team. Just because there's so much space that he has to retreat, you can take advantage of that. But these left and right high grounds are great for your DPS to try to get onto. You know, Ryan can take up to any corner or whatever he really wants to take. If he wants to try to hold it, he can. So this is something I would like to see you guys do, but yeah. Generally, and I said this in the review earlier, that was just for Lunac, you want to try to be holding this right side when you're on this last point, because this box and this mini, the left side is just a pit in a mini, and you don't want to be next to that pit because they will boop you, or they will at least try. I don't know what angle to take because you guys are very, very spread, but I'm just going to look at... So I don't exactly know why you're going so forward here, Reinhardt, but it's too forward. There's nobody with you except this Lucio. And you're kind of straining this Lucio because he has to sit on healing. I mean, really, he should be speeding you wherever you want to go. But he has to sit on healing, because if he speeds you any further forward, you're going to die. Like, I don't know why you're not already dead, to be fair, but like... Okay, so now your team's catching up to you. The enemies haven't exactly punished you for being that far forward, so your team's able to get into this positioning. So this is a good re-engage because we had somebody contest high grounds. We put a lot of pressure onto their front line, and we had a lot of healing in our front line when they didn't, and we were able to take control of the cart and the high ground slowly over time, and then we were able to push them off cart. So it was just good, solid. Good dynamite. That bomb went a little bit too far. Generally, you want to try to land bombs on two corners, or if you wanted to try to, like, let's say clear this high ground, you want to have it detonate in midair. That lands on the ground, and it's not near the corner, so it can't get nearly as much value as it should have. But yeah. Overall, this is a decent cleanup. That's unfortunate. The Moira just happened to be fading, but I mean, it's the ends. There, you really are just cleaning up last few people, so I don't think it's so bad that you're just kind of throwing out ults in a way. But you do have to try to be careful because stalls like this can become very dangerous, right? So if that ball was a little bit better and managed to stay alive for a few seconds, that 1v6 turned into a 3v6 against three very annoying heroes. So just be a little bit more disciplined in how you use your ultimates in those kind of like those ending overtime moments, because I mean, even though you tried to shatter through the cart and it just happened to whiff, I mean, you weren't exactly trying to shatter anybody who was easy to shatter, you know? It was a Genji who could double jump over your shatters and a Moira who happened to fade it. Whereas you could have, I mean, even though, like, Tracer Lucio isn't much easier either. I mean, just make sure that you're not just throwing them out there willy-nilly. That's really the point, right? I don't want you just being like, oh, it's overtime. Fucking, I have my Y button. I'm going to hit it for the shits and giggles. Like, no, you're going to hit it because you are still trying to win the game. Let's look at our attack now. I know it's only you in the chat, Ludic, but any questions, comments, or concerns so far? Ideas that you want to share and talk about? Hopes, dreams, aspirations, nightmares, maybe? I can hold your hand if you want. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, we're still waiting for... We still got a minute to go before we actually start. Ludic is bad, lol. Oh no, is Ludic not here anymore? Grayson's here now. I don't know. Maybe the viewer count is all off. Oh no, interesting. It says I have one viewer, but when I look at the viewer count, I have more than one viewer. Fucking liars, bro. Okay. Big Auntie from the auto. She's watched some videos to know that. We could actually look back at that from her perspective really quick. Jesus Christ, I'm a mess. Okay, so she's looking up. She's throwing exactly at like 4, 3.5. Nice little Auntie. Just gets her some additional ult charge. I'm very bad at Widow. Don't watch this attack. Well. Alright, well. I believe you. I believe you. Oh, let me put the overlay on again. Okay. So, Widow gets poked out, drops down below. Let's see, do you swap? Okay, no, you don't swap, but you're going to hold this. Alright, so we're playing Pharah Widow. Let's talk about composition again. I'm playing Pharah Widow, Diva Reinhardt, Mercy, Moira. So this is what I was talking about last scrim when it comes to composition is that we have to understand what we're trying to do with our picks, right? So Diva Reinhardt is not going to actually be the defining features as they normally would, because tanks normally define how you can play the game. It's going to be Widow Pharah, because Widow Pharah don't actually care about what type of tanks our team is playing. They're going to still play from their positions no matter what. So Pharah's always going to play from the sky. She's always going to want to play near like the top of the skybox. She's always going to want to play near some type of tall cover so that she could break line of sight as easily as possible. And Widow's going to always want to play from, these wide angles that allow her to, pick her shots and try to hit whatever headshot she wants. So what this means is that the rest of the team is going to be playing without the DPS largely, right? The DPS are going to get picks based off of the opportunities that are created by everybody else, which might sound exactly the same as, like every other situation, but normally what will happen when your DPS are playing behind your tanks is that they also create opportunities in tandem with the tanks, right? So Pharah can concussion, and that can help her open up opportunities, but she's going to be only moving forward if the tanks clear out the enemy hit scan for her. And she's only going to be able to take shots on the targets that are like actually split from the tanks. So the tanks need to be putting pressure onto certain areas so that the Pharah can move forward. And I don't know, that sentence sounds weird. I'm trying to express the idea, but I don't think it's coming out as clearly as it should. But basically, the tanks also have to be able to move forward without having the backing of their DPS, without having the shield pressure that you would normally have, because these DPS don't normally want to be breaking shield. Pharah doesn't want to be breaking shield. She has a lot of burst damage, but she doesn't want to be breaking shield just because she doesn't have anybody else who could really break shield with her. Diva can put a decent amount of pressure on shield, but not enough that's not what you want her to be doing. She gets more value in other ways by pressuring off angles and, like forcing people out of high grounds and stuff like that. Like, you don't want a shooting shield all the time. That could be a real waste of Diva's potential. So you're not going to have the same shield pressure, so you're going to have to move kind of independently. This was really funny because Johnny actually said for a second, I'm going to play ground Pharah, lol, and then got fucking rolled for a second. So, I was hilarious. But yeah, you largely want to be able to work your way around the enemy, and these are the split angles that I was talking about before in the last map and in the beginning of this map. Was you want your Pharah to be able to go somewhere where if the Widow, you want your Pharah and your Widow to be on different angles. There we go. We're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. Don't worry about it. You want them to be different angles, right? So if your Widow is going to be way back there, then you want your Pharah to be able to kind of like push them in a way that makes them either look up at the Pharah or down at the Widow, or push above them and past them so that they either have to turn around and fight the Pharah or turn around and block the Widow. Like, you don't want them to be playing from the same sight line, because it's going to make it very easy to negate both of their value at the same time. The reason Widow and Pharah work together so well is because they can take very unique angles, right? Pharah is the only character besides Echo now who can get into the sky and, create pressure from the sky just straight out. Widow's one of the only characters who can sit in fucking Narnia and destroy your whole team. So you really want to be taking advantage of these unique angles that each of these characters can be taking to put pressure on the enemy team. So our Diva has gone in and kind of isolated this Ana a little bit in the back line. And that's going to be dangerous. We'll talk about that in a second, actually. But yeah, you largely want to be trying to work your way into the enemy team as the tanks and supports, so that your Widow can slowly and gradually take more and more aggressive angles, and your Pharah can slowly and gradually worm their way into the enemy's backline. And it's not necessarily like the enemy's backline, because you're still going to be in the sky, but it's going to be above their backline. You're going to be hovering above their backline. This is a composition that works very much like a boa constrictor. You're going to slowly wrap yourself around the enemy team, and over time you're going to bleed them of all life, hope, and mercy that there ever could be. But we're going to look at two things now besides just, our composition. First is this awesome push onto the Ashe. That was a great 2-tap. And then understanding that the Mercy was going to be there and following up with that. That was just a great little play there. And it really opens up this whole point for us, because now we have 2-man advantage. And you've opened up your own space by taking out the Ashe. That was dangerous, because in order to do it, you had to cross a lot of open space. Fortunately,
that Ashe was kind of garbage, so it worked out.
But if the Ashe wasn't garbage and actually hit her shots, then you would have been punished for that, right? Let's actually look back. So we gotta play like a silly snake. Yes. Yes. I want you to play like the snake that comes out of the tin can. So I think this is where you're gonna play ground Pharah for a second. And then you're gonna get bit baps from map. And this is one of those situations too that you can identify, like, there's no reason that Pharah should have died there, because what should have happened is that you should have moved to a divisive location. Like, you're not shielding anybody who's actually doing anything significant. Supports are trying to play through you. Like, they're trying to heal you up, but there's no reason that you should take damage because there's no one for you to be shielding. Like, it's perpetual. I literally just got here, LOL. I'm gonna assume that's Johnny. So really there's no reason that Pharah should have died here, because you should have just moved cleanly from one position to the next, because there's no reason that you should have been, like, nobody should have been behind the shield here except the supports and the off tank. So going back to that push onto the Ashe. So you're going to boost up, which is really, really nice. And then you're just going to take them down 2 taps. Well, maybe 3 for the Mercy. I don't really know. But yeah, it's a little bit dangerous just because if that Ashe is good at hitting her shots, like, you come up a little bit far. Like, you open the angle a little bit too early, maybe. And you don't have the support of your D.Va, which maybe would have guaranteed that she couldn't have killed you. There was an opening for the Ashe to shut you down before you could shut her down. I think the only safer way that you maybe could have done that is just to concussion forward and then to boost her up, or to... Yeah, I think concussion forward and then boost her up, because if you boost her up and then concussion backwards, I don't know what your sensitivity is, so I don't know if you're going to be able to pull that off as cleanly. But yeah, asking for D.Va or either concussion and booster in order to close that distance, because giving that Ashe, the pocketed Ashe, the opportunity to just hit a headshot and end your whole run, is really, really dangerous. But it was a good push nonetheless. So now we're going to look at this D.Va on the flank. This is just not a good flank, because... as much as you see the opportunity to go get that pick, you're compromising your team by going to, like, isolate yourself, basically. If the enemy team had realized that you were back here, and we can rewind to really see how back here you were. If they would realize that you were back here and gone to, like, punish that, it would have essentially ruined the opportunity that our Pharah had opened up. As much as it's, like, still a numbers advantage because Pharah got 2 picks and you only would have been feeding 1 life, it still would have kind of equaled out the fight more than it was necessary. So you're going to notice Ana push into their backline. This is what we traditionally call feeding. It's just that the enemy doesn't punish you for it. The Junkrat doesn't realize that you're there. The Zarya doesn't engage on you quick enough. The Ana can't hit a sleep, or she doesn't have it, one of the two. So you're able to get out. You should have just stayed with your team, or called out that opportunity was there and followed somebody who was going to capitalize on it. The general way that you want to be playing D.Va when you're in a composition like this especially is that you want to be following people. Defense matrix is cast in front of you, so generally you want to be casting your defense matrix onto someone, right? You want to have an enemy or an ally in that defense matrix, depending on, circumstance. Sometimes if it's a Pharah, like, why are you going to defense matrix your team when you can just defense matrix the Pharah barraging herself, so you want to be following people a lot more as D.Va, or taking high ground, and, like, trying to clear certain specific spaces. There's no reason for you to push out like that, because once your boosters are gone, you're out there. That's it. There's no one saving you. Good push, though. Good take overall. Part of the problem, I think with... Okay, so, right, I'm coaching you guys, right? And I'm telling you all these things that I think you could be doing better as a team. But I don't have such a wealth of experience in coaching that I know exactly what I should expect out of you guys when it comes to team play and stuff like that. So I'm telling you what you could be doing as a team to just kind of, like, min-max and optimize a little bit more without getting too nitpicky. Like, these are very, very general things, honestly, that you could be doing better. And sometimes I expect you to pick up on certain things and be able to start doing them, right? Like saying that you are going to use your ultimate or you want to use your ultimate or hey, my shield is low, very, very basic things like that. I expect you to be able to start communicating. Complicated things like making sure that you're defense matrixing the Pharah while she pushes the Ashe is something that I'm going to point out and hope that you do, but I don't know if I necessarily expect you to do it because I don't know what the limitations of kind of like this atmosphere is in the first place. Like you guys aren't, there's no fucking cash prize for this shit right now. You're doing this for fun. But also because I don't know what the limitations of, you know, like a group of plat and diamond players are. So I'm pointing all this stuff out. This is stuff I really think would help. You would be able to, I think, push kind of like to the upper limits of the team as a whole. Like you'd be able to play up if you were able to get this stuff down perfectly or even really, really well. I think you'd be able to play against teams that are, you know, in that tier 2 or what is it, tier 3 is higher? I don't fucking know. It's backwards, I think, from Overwatch League. So tier 1 in Overwatch League is, or tier 1 in Overwatch is Overwatch League, but on console, tier 1 is the lowest one, and it's just weird to me. But yeah, you'd be able to like play evenly against some tier 3 teams if you were able to get some of this stuff down, because this is the real difference between you and them sometimes. Like not only are they better at their characters, but they have a better understanding of how team play works within the game. I need more water, bro. My throat hurts. It's like I've been I mean, what? Yo, Mercy. That's unfortunate, bro. Oh, that's unfortunate, bro. Okay, so this is a miscommunication. Mercy goes off to try to get the res. Ryan pushes forward. You're playing then disadvantage because Pharah's been picked and Mercy's out of the fight. Just unfortunate, really. I mean, that's just one of those communication things that I think, like, you say, like, oh, I'm going to res, and as Reinhardt, you have to be like, oh, that means I can't push forward. And then you just don't. Just don't do that. Okay, so how do you push into this? So we're going to identify a few things about this, pushing into this choke. One, it's very, very hard to push in this choke. So honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if you got like full held here, but window, of course, you have this flank along the side here that opens up opportunities, but to note for flanks, just always remember you have to get as much value as you take time. So if you take 5 seconds to get into a flanking position, you have to get equal value because during that time it took you to flank, you weren't doing anything for the team, right? You have to be able to get at least a pick or two. So beyond that, we also have this top side, which is very, very far flank, honestly. But it gets you really, really nice positioning onto the back line if they haven't been paying attention. And then you just have normal main. So Pharah's going to have a little bit of trouble pushing into this because she can't go over. Like, you can't fly over this. The skybox is a little bit lower, which means you're going to have to go into a position where it's a little bit easy to hit you, right? Either you take a long flank along the left side, or you go through this window and put yourself in this pretty little pop box that anybody can kind of just, like, shoot into the box and potentially hit you. So there's same thing with Widow, honestly. Like, there's just not a ton you could always do. But you guys are managing to push forward. They're not really putting too much pressure on you. They're actually backing up for some reason. I don't really know why. I guess Coalescence. Maybe they're scared of Coalescence. It's just weird. So, this is the thing that I was talking about on the last map, which I think was not Ilios. Was it Ilios? Nepal. It was Nepal. Where it's like you should communicate what you're trying to do. Because defense matrix right here would have been like huge. It would have been fucking gigantic. If D.Va went on this flank with you and you did a 3-man flank and you just pushed with like low numbers and you did so knowingly, like then Reinhardt just plays a little bit slower. Moira can coalesce just to like make up for the numbers difference on the backside, and then Pharah can barrage with the Mercy pocket and defense matrix and get tons of value back here. And these are just things that you get from communicating and understanding what each other want and what you can do with your characters, right? If I say, I'm going to go barrage in their backline and we have a D.Va, then D.Va should be like, wait a second, I can help. You get picked off. That's unfortunate. You get space, though. And, I mean, I think space here is worth what you guys threw at them just because it's so hard to push through that choke. But your ability to capitalize on the space that's been made up to this point is what's going to really determine. What a fucking bomb. What the hell? My throat hurts, bro. I'm gonna be right back. Hold up. Wait. I figured it out. Mute. Boop says gaming in the chat. And gaming indeed you are. With this fucking bomb. So you like jazz? Bro, I love jazz. Okay. I wish I could put background music on this stream, but like... Gonna have the CDC knocking on my door. I don't even know if that's the people who do music. I don't remember what the DMC, the DMV. I don't even know at this point. Okay, so let's see this bomb. You know what? Let's. Fuck, he's already doing it. Hold on, let's see it from his perspective. Okay, so he literally just throws it at the sign. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. Oh, that would have been... I think it would have been a little bit cooler if it went over, because I think if it goes over, it opens different sight lines. But because it detonated on this side, I think this winds up getting blocked largely by this stupid little bit right here. This isn't actually an interesting bomb, just because it's one I've never really thought about. If you can get it to slide over that top, I think you can really fuck with people's heads, because they're gonna back up because they think it's gonna go super far. It's gonna stop. They're gonna be like, oh, we can go forward again, and then it's gonna go over, and they're gonna get fucked. So the 2 picks is good though. I think it's a good bomb overall. It just be like that. More of a jazz fusion guy. If you don't like jazz, you don't like music. What the fuck is this McCree doing? Holy shit. Let's go on an adventure with this McCree really quick. You guys are cleaning up that fight back there. So, I wonder, is this the McCree that was the Genji, that was the Doomfist, that was the Reaper that kept flanking and killing us on Nepal? What is this Reaper? What is this McCree doing? Holy shit, he's going deep, bro. He's going so deep. Oh my god. That's amazing. Okay, let's look at the rest of the fight. So this is essentially a 5v5 because our, I play 2 classical instruments, you mom. Oh my god. Hold on. I apparently have to allow that message to go through. That's fucking funny. Ad permitted for the term Mong. Yo. Shout out to fucking filters, bro. Okay, so you guys are essentially playing in a 5v5. Because your Widow's on respawn, the McCree decides to play way back. I think he was probably trying to get the flank high noon, but then Sights pops and he knows he's screwed if he stays back there. So Widow's not going to get there soon enough to have an actual impact in this fight. So it's going to really come down to how much value the D.Va and the Pharah can get, and how long the Reinhardt can stay alive. As well as if Ryan can get any clean instruments on, or fuck, god damn it, Boop. Can get any clean looks on this Shatter. So with new Shatter timing, it's really worth it to just shatter one person, because you can't clean up any like full team shatters as very well, at least. I mean, you could do it, but it's like the shatter timing is so short. All right. Where was that dragon? Oh my god, that dragon was so high. Okay, so Widow's back in it. Shatter comes out, gets one. It's cleaned up. Reinhardt in the back. Nice finish. Okay, so that was fairly clean overall. I would have liked to see D.Va up on this high ground. Personally, I'm gonna harp on the high ground until I see you guys doing it more. I'm gonna nitpick on the high ground a little bit until I see you guys doing it more, because you guys don't do it really at all. Like there's occasions where you'll like very specific maps where you'll do it. I've seen you do it a decent amount of Kings Row, but there's not enough of it for me to just like look at you guys not being on the high ground and to be like, oh, it's okay this one time, or oh, you didn't really need that situation. You just don't use the high ground enough for me to just excuse you not using the high ground. Okay, let's look at the state of everything right now. So generally speaking, and I think Boop, are you the yeah you're the Reinhardt here. Generally speaking, you want to be moving. If you have the space, of course, you don't want to force your way to it, but you want to be moving from corner to corner. So as a main tank or as a main shield, so this is a corner, this is a corner, and then this is a corner. So you want to control your pathing and make sure that you're moving from corner to corner and taking free space if possible. I think you had the free space, and we can look back to move from this corner to this corner before the enemies got there. And what this would have allowed you to do is it would have allowed you to open up space for your team so that they can move forward more freely. So basically, this high ground. Wait a second. Here we go. This high ground is a little bit more contested because there's nobody underneath it who's stopping people from getting to the spot where they can either climb up or jump up, right? There's nobody who's opening up this angle for the Widow to like play in this backspace back here or make this transition to try to get into their back line. So this is just a minor thing that you can do to kind of like just bump up your ability to control the game when you're not in like one of these mid fights, when you're in these down times. Just pixels. Wait, I can't see what's happening because I have shit service. Okay, as long as it's not on my end, then you can go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding. As long as it's not on my end, there's nothing I could do really, unfortunately. But yeah, if you can move from corner to corner during during downtimes when there's like free and open space, then I think it'll open up a lot of opportunities for the team to take advantage of map positioning and stuff like that, and either play more aggressively or play angles that are more advantageous. So get fucked because nobody's watching the flank. And they're able to just throw ultimates at you guys and win this one. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. Good block. Okay, so I don't mind that coalescence because of what it becomes, but I do think that you have to be careful in situations like that because it very well could have turned out horrible. Um, so essentially, top teams, how they wind up using their ultimates when they're down is they treat it as if they're replacing a hero with an ultimate, right? So if one of your supports goes down and you have either Valk or Coalescence, like let's say the Mercy dies and you have Coalescence, you can use your Coalescence to like tempo your team and keep them alive as if the Mercy was there until she gets back. The problem is if something doesn't happen within that time that you're using the ultimate, like if you don't get a pick or if you don't claim space that's really important, then all you did was delay the inevitable. You basically made it so that once the ultimate was over, then the reality of your extra like ally being dead was like settling in and being made like more prevalent in the fight. So you have to be careful with using ultimates when you're down because yeah, they can replace people in certain ways, but they're timed. They're temporary. They're instant bursts of Super Saiyan mode. You know, they're not going to completely replace a person. So this winds up working out because you delay long enough and your Reinhardt disengages and stays alive, and then you can kind of like get back. But the coalescence doesn't really do anything but stabilize the fight. You really could have just retreated there and then regrouped and had coalescence along with all these other ults that are coming online. You also could have coalesced and barraged so that you kind of like overwhelm them with ultimates all of a sudden. It just would have had to be a very clean barrage because you can't close this distance in the sky very easily, right? So you can come out of the window, you can come across the right high ground, but it's going to take you time to come across the right high grounds because Hans is up there and you have to push him out first. And if you come out of the window, you're giving them plenty of chances to shoot you. I think probably the best solution there if you're going to coalesce and barrage is that you barrage from behind the shield. And the combination of the coalescence and the barrage is probably going to like would overwhelm the enemy team. It would at least get you a few picks and allow you to equalize and push forward. But like I said, this isn't bad because they're not able to capitalize on the Reinhardt getting low and they're not able to like their Reinhardt fucking feeds hella hard. so it works out. You just have to be careful doing that. This is a good bomb. This is a good. I remember all these bombs were good. Just nice throws into the back line, making the tanks makes decisions whether to back up or not. Good shatter. Nobody's on the high ground. I'm just gonna keep. Nobody's on the high ground. It hurts my feelings. No, yeah, but just try to keep using those high grounds when you can. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Boofer is big suck. Out of tune, Visco girls. I'm crying. Oof. Playing Widow. Jesus. You guys are toxic. There's no reason to bully your bands like that, guys. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, to be fair, you got to the stream and I was on everybody's ass. It just happened to be your turn. Did you say something about having background music? Yeah, earlier I did. It's a lot of work, though. Oh, man. Makes me want to headbutt the corner of a brick. God damn. I'm gonna leave a little bit of downtime. Do you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns? Yeah. You know, how hard is it to put... Oh, this element is too small to be displayed. Still too small? That's annoying. How large does it have to be? How do I not do the big bad at Overwatch? Just do the big good? Why the fuck is someone typing in Latin in your chat? I don't know, that's just world chat. I haven't figured out how to switch off gen chat yet, so they're just it's better than last time I streamed. Last time somebody was saying some stupid shit. Literally just open YouTube in Chrome or something and keep Chrome's audio quiet. Twitch won't do anything about it. Yeah, but that's a lot of work. You make me display effort. Let's see. What's in my YouTube music? You're not famous, Twitch don't care. They're gonna come bully me. I am now the biggest of the small brains. Oh, man. How do you guys feel about lo-fi? Lo-fi hip-hop, of course. It's gonna be such a wild mix of nonsense. I think my desktop audio is already kind of low. Play Four Seasons Summer? The fuck is Four Seasons Summer? Hold on, I gotta monitor this shit first. Desktop auto. No, the worst they'll do is mute certain parts of the VOD if literally there's just music playing and nothing else. Oh, okay. Listen, bro, this is just what they recommended me. Alright, let's figure this out real quick. Who gets to determine the music? Do I get to determine the music, or do I have to run music through you guys? I could set that up for next time, honestly. If you guys want to be able to choose the music and shit. Me like you, poop. I would have to download the bot again and fucking get that all set up, and that's a lot of work. I can't do that right now. It's take too long. Streamer's choice, bro. I mean, you have to fucking sit here for it, so. Don't blame me. Is the volume good? Oh, man. Alright, let's get into the next one. So the question is, do we swap at this point, or did we swap the next map? Alright, so we swapped at this point. So we're red now, which is going to get really fucking confusing, because we've been blue so far. I don't honestly know why we swap. I don't really understand. I just mute the stream if I don't like the music. You don't say anything useful anyway. Alright. Alright. Somebody's getting fucking temporary banned. Alright, so let's talk about composition since we're 5 seconds out. So we have Reinhardt, D.Va, Mei, Symmetra. This was the specific strat that we were running. I don't know what map it is. Audio only for me. Shitty service. Sucks ass. Okay, so we're on Hadamura. We're attacking first. We're running Ryan, D.Va, Mei, Symmetra, Brig, Moira. This was the composition where we said we were going to run Symmetra up top and then drop bottom and then TP, just to have a slight diversion and try to get the TP in cleanly. So the composition is fairly cohesive. I think the Brig Moira is perfectly fine. I personally like Brig Bap a little bit better because Moira doesn't offer anything besides healing and damage, whereas Bap offers healing, damage, and immortality. Why can't I see... Oh, shit. I'm fucking stupid, bro. Hold on. Live screen. Alright. So, yeah. I like Bap over Moira just because of that, but it doesn't really matter either way because Moira's going to offer, you know, I guess Coalescence is going to come up super fast all the time, and she's going to have shit out healing. Shut up, man. Leave me alone. So they're running double shield McCree Pharah, which is going to be interesting to see if they run it properly, because if they run it properly, they're going to have the better composition, just because they're going to be able to poke us out, right? There's so many openings on point A that the Pharah and the McCree are just going to be able to take alternate angles, and they're going to just, like, destroy. Just, like, I mean, D.Va's going to be able to chase one of them down, and Ryan's going to be able to shield another, but Sig and Orisa are damage sources of their own. So... Sims going top. Why? What the fuck happened there? Why was that Mercy there? Okay. Good start. Oh no! Yo! Oh no! Okay, she gets out. Okay, Sims come top, we show. Okay, so part of this composition that we're already doing a little wrong is that what Johnny had said was that we should play very, very compact so that they can't tell that the sim is there. Now, the benefit is that the enemy isn't going to try to capitalize on anything anyway. So it's not really going to be a detriment if they don't notice that, you know, you're missing one person. They're probably not going to be able to identify that you're missing a person. But you should be playing more compact just to kind of like convey that idea that, hey, we're all here. Don't think too hard about it. Good TP through. Shields are already a little bit low, so this is, I think, one of the small issues with this composition is that if you're not running Sigurissa with a bunch of shield, like an excessive amount of shield, by the time you get to point, your shields are dead. And this is what I was talking about in terms of their composition just plays really well into this, where their Pharah is already in our back and already laying down a ton of damage. She's already able to spam out, and they're already kind of slowly trickling in the damage with spam from Orisa and Sigma, and they're able to take all this damage because Fortify and fucking Moira. So I think just compositionally we wind up losing out there just because they're so, their composition is so good for first point A, right? There's so many angles that they could take, so many different ways that they can spam you out, that if you don't go in there with full tank abilities, you're really not going to be able to sustain through their push on you. Make sure that when you're when you've lost, when you're still regrouping, so you wanna consider it based off of whoever dies last. So last man back is just gonna determine how fast you can regroup, and you don't want to push before that last person is respawned. Like, you don't need to be showing here, you don't need to be shooting here, you should really be trying to get that 6v6 back up, because right here you're enabling them to push the, like, if they wanted to, they could really like put a lot of pressure on you and waste resources, and you're never going to be able to get that shielding back quick enough for you to get value out of this, right? Like, you're gonna be shooting from behind the shield is gonna go down, and like it's gonna drain health, and that health would have been much more useful in a 5 or 6 man push than just in this 1 man poke. So make sure that you're getting out of there and like actually saving your resources. I think it's okay if you just casually throw dynamite, but if you over peek and get picked, that's your fault. You're losing us the fight. Oh. Alright, so this push is interesting because Ryan's already ahead of the corner, but nobody's in any real positioning yet. So I really want to see how you settle into this because you're a little bit off sync with one another. Concussion is going to split you a little bit. Coalescence, you can still push forward. I like the compositional swap. It was a good swap. I think you guys took good advantage of the okay, so one of two things happened. Either you actually decided to push aggressive this time, or the concussion just pushed you forward. You had to stay aggressive. But the aggression forward there really helped you get space for your DPS. And I think the consistent thing that we've been seeing is that when we're able to play aggressive, our DPS are able to get value. Like, we have good DPS. We just have to make them space, you know? I would say that our DPS's biggest problems is probably, like, over-peaking and overplaying their hands sometimes. But we can't get even into those situations sometimes because I think we're a little bit too hesitant and a little bit too slow to push. We got aggressive because of the kill I got on the flying though. Yeah. Okay, then that's good. As long as the aggression is actually like you need to be purposely aggressive. Like, I could see the concussion kind of pushing who's this on Reinhardt? Hetero forward, and like him only pushing forward because he got pushed forward him by like the far, and then him being like, well, I'm in, so now I'm in. Because there's been a few times now where he's gotten hit with like a CC or something, and then he like stops for a second or he backs up, and that's a problem. Like, you can't, even if you're like compromised a little bit, like you gotta either shore up your defensive so those don't hit you, but also you can't stop moving. Like, you gotta keep going forward. You gotta make that space. Pharah is playing across. Okay, where are we playing? So we're playing our Pharah split as well. Let's watch from out here. I want to see. Okay. So that was just unfortunate because you didn't properly scout this top left high ground here. And then the Pharah just had the jump on you, and High Noon came out, and there was really nothing else for you to do there. Okay, but you got the Pharah back, so it's almost okay. I would have personally just called retreat. Okay. Bye, Johnny. Bob to point, put pressure. I like this Bob because they're playing up top, so the Bob is really going to make sure that they have to choose between fighting you guys or going down, and I think that's really what opened up that shatter on the staircase here, because they were so confused. They're not confused, but like they were in disarray, right? They had to make a decision. Do we back up or do we play forward? And they didn't really make a decision. They kind of wound up splitting apart, and everybody made their own decision, but they weren't cohesive as a unit. So that was a good kind of like, you give them a decision or you force them to make one, and you capitalize on whatever they try to do as best as you can. Hold on. So let's see how you guys decide to play this defense and what we could do a little bit more. No, I don't want to. Why? Why? Why do you do this to me? So honestly, this will probably be the last one I do for today because it's been 3 hours. Or maybe I'll do the next one because the last map doesn't really count. Because I was playing in it and we kind of rotated everybody around for that one. But what'll likely to happen is I'm going to send out a message either tonight or tomorrow, and we're going to do a brief Zoom call where we go over things. I want to try to get as many people in as possible, the same way we would have a scrim. I want to try to have almost everybody there. Maybe I'll schedule it for Friday night or Thursday night or something like that, and hopefully everybody can make it. I'll do it around like scrim times, and it's only going to be 40 minutes. But it'll basically be a condensed version of this in a way. So this year, if you guys watch this or are able to attend any of these live like you are now, you'll be able to ask more questions and find out more information because I'm going to nitpick at everything. But once we do those, I'm going to really try to like focus on very specific things, and make sure that I'm highlighting the key points that we need to be working on first. So I might just do this one. I might do one more and then try to condense this 3 hours into like 1 hour because I'm not paying for Zoom if it doesn't work out. So I'm going to try to see how it works out when we're doing 40-minute segments first, and then I'll see how it feels and how everything works and if I think it's going to be good going forward. Okay, so I like the ass positioning, high ground, blah, 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 blah. I've been saying high ground all night. I'll say high ground all day. I like the composition is good because it's very, like you have a unit that plays forward and you have a unit that plays back. I don't know why Moira is so far back right now. I don't think that there's any reason. Zenyatta can be playing from this back left under where the ash is because it's just safer here. You have two rocks in the way. You could break line of sight from that wall. There's a mini health pack back there, and you can retreat towards spawn. There's a positioning video by IOStux where he kind of goes over like things like maps like this where it's like, hold on. So when you're over here, you have no escape. Because if you go out towards the coast, they're going to be able to chase you infinitely. If you play down mid, then this is where the enemies are going to be looking to kind of like charge through. So you're going to be in the enemy's path line or pathway. And if you play back here, you're going to give yourself the opportunity to go back to spawn, regroup with your team, or to get a health pack in one of these areas. So there's the mega back here, there's a mini back here, and there's a mini over here. And those are all good options because, like I said initially, they're going to let you get back to your team and back to spawn. So you can kind of use that principle on any map really, because there's plenty of situations where one way is towards spawn and the other way is just not towards spawn, and you're always going to want to try to retreat towards spawn, because if your teammates wind up dying, they're going to be they're going to be respawning at spawn. You want to regroup with them. You don't want to regroup with the fucking coast. Okay, so interesting TP. Interesting position for Grayson here too, because I think they're gonna wind up just dropping because they're gonna be like, oh, we have to drop onto point, but like they could have. Oh, they're not. Oh, are they gonna roll you? Are they gonna roll and smoke you? Okay, so that was the May walled it. I'm remembering that now. So initially, I'm the May. Oh, right. I'm so used to you being the Ash. So the call out comes that you can May wall the TP, but I don't think you can anymore. I do remember, I wasn't sure, which is why I didn't bring it up after this map, but I do know at some point if you May walled the Sim TP that it would freeze it and it was unusable or it would break it, but I think they removed that. I think it just lifted it in the air here, which was good because it wound up delaying them. Like they couldn't go through the TP for a little while, which was good. But we didn't capitalize on this. So once two of them go through and once their TP is up, like we need to push them hard. And the reason that we have to push them hard is, or we have to push them hard or we have to back up super fast, I guess. And I guess we're choosing to back up super fast, but if we push them hard, two of them are already through, and we could just take this fight like 5v6 basically and roll them over. Or 5v4, I mean. Because Johnny's all the way up there and can't really do anything right now. But yeah, you can kind of just like take that fight super aggressively, but we decide to back up instead, which is also good because it gets us cohesion. But this is where the problem happens. So this is similar to what I was saying before, where it's like hetero retreats to the right, but to the left is safety. This is where everybody should and wants to be going, right? Unless you're doing a very specific rotation where you pre-planned before. Like let's say if you were set up on this high ground playing bunker and you're rotating through this mega space and going around back, you should always try to retreat to the left. Retreating to the right doesn't gain you any additional advantages. Except maybe access to the mega, but that's not enough of an advantage. The mega's a big rotation back for you to trying to be claiming that that's an advantage. So you're going to split off to the right. The rest of your team is largely going to, well, two of your team members are going to split off to the left. May and Zen are going to split off to the right with you, and then you're going to be caught in a spot where I understand this charge in some level because I think this Reinhardt charges, yeah, he counter pins. Like if he pins you, this is a really good pin for him. So you have to pin there. There's no other option. But because you go to the right and some of your team goes to the left and some of you go to the right, you're very, very split. And you're not able to like get your resources across to the Reinhardt easily enough, right? Zarya can't bubble herself and walk into the Rein space to protect him because she's still got to cross the entire fucking point to get to him. Everybody should just be going to the left. I'm gonna just say that for now. We can make other decisions down the line if let's say we do want to play some type of rotational bunker like that where we want to go to the right. But right now we should just keep it very simple. Our compositions are fluid, so keep some things consistent. Retreat to the left on this map. So you fend them off, which was awesome. Well, do you? Yeah. Okay, looks like you are. I was gonna say for a second. I don't think they get first, right? I don't think they take anything on this. But I can't remember. So in this situation, you should do one of two things. You shouldn't just sit on point, that's for sure. But you should either spread out and try to take advantage of the fact that this point is a bowl, basically. And I'll show you what I mean by a bowl in a second. But you should spread out and take advantage of that. Or you should try to retreat and regroup with your tank and like get a good push back in. So what I mean by a bowl is basically just the fact that there's this high ground up here that Johnny's on. There's this high ground here. There's this high ground here. There's this high ground here. And of course there's high ground over here too. But then there's this high ground here. And there's this high ground here. And you can kind of like sit in all of these and look into this central courtyard where people are going to be pushing from a bunch of different angles and put pressure. Almost as if you were on the rim of a bowl and they were in the center of it. Right? You can kind of trap them that way. And it's just, that's going to be your best situation, I think, there if you don't retreat. Only for the factor of, like, you don't have a tank to protect you, so you have to make it very difficult for them to do damage to you. And very difficult for them to put pressure on your team. Okay, so they're holding one side, you're holding the other. I think this works. I think that Ash should have retreated back to the team at some point, but I don't think this off angle is the worst thing. If you're going to do something like this, you should try to see if you can get somebody to go with you. Just so that you can get, like, this, like, if the Zen's going to keep Harmony on you, maybe you stay in Zen's sightline or something like that. I think it probably would have, no, because they're not really pushed onto point yet, but I was going to say it might be optimal to push into, like, rotate back to where they came from to try to put pressure on them, but they haven't pushed onto point yet, so you can't get any value that way. But eventually you make the rotation back a little bit closer than maybe necessary. We're pushing. Hold on, let me skip this song as well. Some of his music is very story driven and lengthy. Just not the vibe right now. Alright. Holy shit, my frames for some reason. What's up? What's up, buddy? Can you go back up to 30, please? No? Alright. Well, alt-tabbing seemed to have caused some sort of issue with my frame, so I'm sorry if it looks like garbage right now, but... okay, so they're just going to overwhelm you with ultimates, which is unfortunate because you had a lot of ultimates to actually play this fight with. I'm going to go back and I'm going to see, like, if the ultimates came up mid-fight. Okay, so it looks like they did. So we trance. Okay, when we trance, this is one of those instances, right? We trance to counter their coalescence. Push. Get into them. Let the trance be, like, the catalyst for you actually maybe farming up these ults a little bit faster, or getting a little bit more ult charge for, like, somebody who doesn't have a lot right now, or putting pressure onto the enemy team. But neither team is taking advantage of the fact that they have a sustained support ultimate up right now, and you could be the one to actually do it. If they pushed in while this coalescence was on them, you guys would roll over without them even having to use grav, because they would have so much healing and damage permeating both you and them that there'd be very little you could do without popping trance, right? So once you pop trance, you have to go back into them. You have to actively fight into them more. You guys do it too slowly and not enough. As soon as trance pops, you should all just be go, like, instantly. You should all be doing that together. And that doesn't mean that the fundamentals of how you play change, right? Reinhardt's still got a shield. He's just got to push forward with the shield and then intermittently swing and fire strike and such. Zarya's still got to bubble the right targets and do the right things. It's just at a higher tempo and more aggressively and a little bit further forward. But they're able to, you guys play a little bit slow to start and you don't get in there fast enough. And now your ultimates are going to come online too late. Where that fire strike is able to get it and you get it while you're grabbed. It's just, you could have won this fight if you play a little bit more aggressively, get ult charge a little bit sooner, and actually, like, take the fight to them and use the resources available to you because that trance is, like, such a big resource. It's such a large healing output. You almost actually even turn it even without those ultimates there. Because Bob just does so much damage. I'm gonna alt-tab in and alt-tab out. Nah, it's still capped at 30 frames per second. For some reason. I like this TP because it allows you to rotate between point and high ground, and that's something that, like, when you're playing Zarya on this point is a big disadvantage, is that once you drop, you can't go back. But I think the TP could have been set up maybe, like, closer to this high ground, because what winds up happening is that if you want to wait a little bit and then TP, like, you're on the other side. You're not, like, actually anywhere comfortable, I don't think. I also think it's very easy for them to just go and destroy it over there. Good TP. Good Maywall. Wait, we're red. Oh my god, did you kill our Reinhardt before, Grayson? Holy shit, wait a second. Or you killed somebody, I think. Hold on, we're gonna look back at this now. Okay, so they're there. They push forward, you pop Coalescence. Okay. And then they pop Coalescence. And then you pop Transcendence, but they don't have Rally yet. And then you get Shattered. And then you Maywall boop, and he just gets demolished. That's an Omega lol. That's the most Omega of lols. Okay, so they TP across. I remember we called this out after a second. Like, they're kind of regrouping over there a little bit. We identify this, so we're a little bit prepared. So this is I thought was a really good engagement on our part in terms of like how we dealt with this. The Maywall was a good split. We put good pressure on them and kind of split them apart. We let that Reaper get in, but I'm not super duper concerned about that right now. I mean, I'm concerned about the fact that it's happened so many times now in terms of like the Reaper being able to like get into our backline and people being able to get into our backline and punish us based off of our lack of awareness. But I'm not super concerned about that Reaper flank because we do such a good job on engaging on the enemy team, splitting them and creating an advantage and taking advantage of that advantage. That it's not the biggest. Like he picks 2 and we still win easily. Okay, so they come through while we're trying to destroy it. What happened there to their Zarya? Was that us or what is going on with their team? What the fuck? Aw, Grayson. Aw, man, you really struggled at that TP, huh? She's missed! Oh my god! And then what about the Brig? Okay, that was us. Nice boop. Off. I do want to see that small play there. Good bubble to stop any potential damage. Okay, I like that. I like that little you recognize that nobody's up here and that this is a good vantage point, and you get up there and you identify somebody who could do whip shot off, and you take that. We take those. That was a really good little play right there. Between that and the fucking suicide, I think that was a really good play right there. That won us the fight pretty much. In tandem with that suicide by the fucking, what do you call it? Zarya. The enemy Zarya just walked off. She missed the TP. It was fucking great. We're back up to 60 frames. Cool. I'm gonna break it again. I'm gonna play lo-fi. Nice. He didn't break it this time, I don't think. Wait. No, I want this one. That way we get the live chat, you know? Alright. So let's see how this next fight goes. Oh, okay. So this was actually a pretty interesting fight here. Just because it's one of those situations that I think like we just need to be more decisive in terms of like our where we're going to attack and when sometimes. So they're gonna split their McCree, right, and their Hanzo, yeah, and they're gonna go on catwalk here, and our Reinhardt's pretty much gonna get bullied, while they just push up the stairs. So I talked about this during, but now we can get a nice third person perspective of it, where our Reinhardt's just kind of getting poked down. We rally to sustain. we're all getting poked down, really. Moira winds up dying to a fire strike. But before that fire strike even starts, maybe we might be able to just push down these stairs. And I think we wind up just losing this one. Not losing, I don't think we lose the whole thing, but we lose this fight for sure. Because we just need to take this rally and just walk. Like, it's just the D.Va, Reinhardt, and Brig down here. Everybody else is over there. And we can clean these up fairly easily, because once you're behind this wall, there's no line of sight for the enemy team, right? Or for the rest of the enemy team. You can take advantage of that and just push down these stairs. This is a very specific situation, but it's going to come up maybe like 2 or 3 other times, I'm sure, in your tenure of playing the game. And sometimes you can really make or break wins with these instances, or identifying similar situations on different maps. But they're able to kind of just like poke down and chill in the staircase, and I mean, we get picks back, so that's good. Maybe we don't lose. Maybe I don't know what memory is. No, yeah, we managed to sustain it. Nice. But yet, I think it could have maybe been one a little bit cleaner, I guess, then. I don't know what to say. It's just that was an option then. Fuck it. It was something that we could have done. Okay, so they push underneath. Generally, when people push underneath, and we're up here, we should make the hop onto this area right here so that we can come at them from this angle. Not everybody, maybe you want to leave like one person up here, but generally then you want to like make this hop. Because the TP is it dead? I think it's dead at this point, because I can't see it or where it's going. I'm really confused actually by that symbol right now. But yeah, you can hop across here, and then that'll basically make it so that, especially when you have the Zarya like that, like you can drop down here with Shatter and just like split them in half, or like, you know, just turn Shatter these people, or just force that Rein to turn around with your Shatter or something like that. But this isn't terrible. You drop a little bit earlier than possibly necessary, but I don't think there's any reason to give him a tick here because you have such a brawly comp. You want to be on point. But if you have a, like, let's say in the future, just as an FYI, if you have a comp with more like long range hit scans, you can take your time and let the hit scans and stuff like poke down the enemy team. I don't know what happened to you there, Lunik. I don't know why you were underneath, but let's go check it out. Why were you down there? Okay, so that gets destroyed. You're up top. Oh, okay. He just got juked by the Mercy, lol. Luna hopped into pit to try to chase Mercy, but Mercy was never going there. Good. I like the chase out. The chase was really good because it really keeps pressure on them, and like the respawn now means that they have to wait even longer, even if it's just a few seconds. A few seconds winds up winning games sometimes. Sorry, I was distracted there for a second. So they're going to take the same push again. We still have Shatter up. So my last point still stands. You know, we're really brawly comp though, so it's all good to get on point the way we do and just push out traditionally. I like the early use of the support ults in these type of compositions because they let us push forward really aggressively. I think using Beat early is a little bit of a waste because Beat decays so fast. But things like Coalescence, Rally, and Transcendence sustain consistent amounts over a period of time, so it feels I think better to do it because of that. Managed to get a tick. It was a good Dragon Strike on their part. Their Hanzo almost clutched this out, but big plays, big shatters. All right, good job. All right, we should do the last one. my May walls though. Yeah, you killed fucking Boop with them. No, they were good though. Holy shit. Alright. So I definitely know that there was something I wanted to bring up on Rialto. There was something specifically I was looking at. Where's my notebook? It's in the other room. Fuck. It's probably in the other room. I guess we'll figure it out throughout the game. Okay, so we're playing offense first. Right, we're still red? Yeah, we're still red. The fuck are they doing? Alright, so Ryan, Diva, Widow Tracer, Moira, Zen. So Widow Tracer works similarly to Widow Pharah, where Tracer can get into like really uncomfortable areas, like for the enemy team, like they don't want her there, into their backline, and she can just live there forever. So if the Widow ever hits a body shot, Tracer can just follow that up really easily. But it requires coordination between the two. I mean, this is something that I didn't bring up when we were looking at the Widow Pharah, but generally when you have compositions like this with a Widow, if the Widow hits a body shot, the Widow wants to be like, guys, I hit a fucking body shot. Can you clean that up for me? And I mean, you don't want to do that all the time, but like you can call someone low if they're like a particularly exposed target, or like you know that they could be followed up on. Because that's really going to be the easiest way for Tracer to get kills in the way that the supports work right now, because Tracer's largely going to want to like poke on and skirt the edges of the engagement, and then as soon as she sees somebody that she can guarantee a one clip on, she wants to go in. She wants to like just eliminate that target and then retreat again, or you know, if the mayhem continues or mayhem ensues, then she wants to stay in and just kind of like get free picks and dart in and out of the engagement. But Tracer doesn't want to go in before she has somebody that she can eliminate. So Widow can kind of really complement her there. So Widow Pharah can be the same. If you hit a body shot as Pharah or as Widow, then you want to call that out so the other can follow up on that. Zen Moira doesn't really complement each other, because Moira doesn't want to, like, Zen wants to be super far back where the Widow is, or like, you know, as far back as the Widow may want to be, but the Moira wants to be like up there in the engagement. So Zen needs somebody to help him out, and Moira doesn't want to. And that just is a little precarious. I mean, it's something you can do. It's just you have to be attentive as a Moira. Nice headshot. So this is one of those instances that I was talking about. The shield's almost broken. You should really like try to finish breaking it. But you really want to try to like clear this to this corner, like force them back a little bit more, because they're down a person now and the Tracer's in the back line. And what you're allowing the enemy team to do is turn around, because the tanks don't have to work very hard because you're not pushing far forward. So if the tanks aren't working very hard and there's no real stress on the enemy defense, then that means that the DPS can just do as they please. And this is going to cause the McCree to turn around and fight Tracer, and this is going to cause the Tracer to recall and like force out recall, and then I think get picked eventually. Well, I know that she gets picked eventually. One of these days. Good hook. As a tank, there's situations where you want to be playing behind the cart. There's situations where you want to play in the front of the cart. I don't think there's ever really a reason to play on the side of the cart unless the enemies are just like directly on the other side. I think this is one of the situations where you want to play in front of the cart. There's no reason that Lunik should have been able to get hooked, but I think this is a mixture of both that, what I was just saying, and those FPS mechanics that I was talking about early on into the day. So just the ability to stand near corners and stuff like that and block those out. Like there's no reason that you should have to protect, or you should have to block every single ability in the game for your team. There are some things that your team should be able to naturally dodge and avoid by using the map geometry, by using the cart. But Diva, you could have defense matrix that Zen to save his life there, if you had better management of that. Like if somebody gets hooked, just defense matrix the Roadhog who did the hooking. Jesus. My frames are gone again for some reason. I wonder if my computer can't handle doing all these different things at once. I might need to download the music in order to... No, but internet speed wouldn't affect frames like that. My internet speed's also not that bad, so I don't know. Good pick. Yeah, we just need to push a little bit more. Our tanks are playing a little bit too far back for where our DPS and supports usually are. I really like that bomb. I just wish it would have been called out before, because I think that it could have been capitalized on a little bit better. That lamp comes out early enough that we could have broken it. Our Widow needs healing in the back. That's something that I've talked about multiple times. It's something I think I'm going to talk about again later on, where DPS will call for healing and it takes forever for them to get healing. And, like, it's a little unnecessary in the fact that, like, the supports just need to be more responsive. Like, the supports are the only ones that can do any healing, so you have to make sure that you're doing your job. If there's something that you feel like is preventing you from doing your job, like somebody obnoxiously out of line of sight or out of position so that you can't heal them, or you know, the enemy team putting pressure on you so you can't turn around to heal in time, then that's something that is going to be needs to be brought up. Like, even if it's mid fucking game, like, you need to be like, listen, I can't heal you because the Genji dives me and I die. And then your DPS need to be like, well, I can't fight the Genji because I keep getting poked down by the enemy Ashe. And then the tank's got to be like, well, I can't fight the enemy Ashe because the Roadhog keeps hooking me. And then the DPS need to be like, well, I can fight the Roadhog. You know, like, there's a certain order. Like, you need to bring up your problems if they are there so that they could be resolved, because there's somebody on your team who can, there's always somebody on your team who can deal or can do something about somebody on the enemy team. It's just a matter of communicating enough and trying to use, like, common sense, I guess, in certain ways, or your own skills and abilities to figure out certain situations. Because I know, right, like, I may not be able to fight a Roadhog very easily, but I can fight Moira just because I've spent so much time hating her that I've you know, practiced shooting her in the face. But, like, that's me specific, and you won't know that until you bring up that the Moira's a problem for you, you know? And we don't know everything about our teammates, so we need to try to bring up as many situations as possible, even if it's mid-game, so that we can learn what one another can do, and we can work around one another. It was a very long tangent while I just let this map play. None of it really means anything, but everything means something, so nothing means everything. Grayson's having a hard time against this Ashe right here. That's one of those things, like, your fight against the Ashe, I don't think there's anything that I really want to nitpick on, necessarily. I think that maybe callouts would allow for focus fire to kill the Ashe, because especially here, I think she's a little bit out of position. The Tracer could have maybe hunted her down or something like that, which I don't even know where Tracer is right now, to be fair. But somebody could have, like, pressured her out instead of, like, you just fighting her in a 1v1. But, like, you just lost a 1v1. Like, take it again. Keep working at it. You'll be fine. This is a good bomb. It really opens up the... Oh, there's the Tracer. It really opens up the engagement for everybody else, especially after Grayson gets picked. You guys do make a good push throughout this map, so... I mean, this was mostly wins. I'm looking forward to the scrims where we, like, lose hard, so that I can bully everybody more. So this is the corner-to-corner shit I was talking about. Really, what should happen here is your D.Va should go off to the left to engage on that McCree. And Reinhardt should try to take the space with the supports pocketing him so that he can guarantee taking the space. I remember watching Johnny during that and just thinking, like, oh, that's unfortunate that she got caught out. So I'm not going to look back on that because I don't think that was anything specific to look back on right now. But... D.Va's a much better matchup for McCree because Reinhardt can't really do anything. If he gets too close, then he gets flashed and fanned. And D.Va can eat and fucking delete McCree very easily because he has a staple hitbox, and micro missiles and shotguns are really, really good up close. And she can eat flash while still shooting micro missiles. So D.Va should really engage in that just because it's a better matchup, so that's just something that has to be called out. So, like, if somebody calls, like, McCree left or something like that, or, like, let's say we want to call this, like, green room or something like that because it's got a lot of windows, who knows. Or we call it atrium because I think it's actually an atrium. D.Va should be like, I fuck McCree's, and she should just go. And that should open up space for everybody else, but this McCree's going to wind up getting out pretty much, unless fucking Lunix snipes the shit out of him. Ooh, close. That's a really fast, or fairly fast, at least, D.Va ult charge timing. But I think we wound up losing to this High Noon, right? Yeah. High Noon and Bob. This was a decent retreat. McCree could have hit his shots and you would have died, but I think you could have communicated that you were retreating. Or like, let's back up or let's regroup or something like that. Because 2 of you are back, 2 of you are forward, 2 of you are respawning. It works out though. Works out because the enemy's bad, but you're not much better. I think if you were going to trance to clear mines, you should have done it sooner. But wait, did you not have it maybe? It's possible that... No, you had it. If you were going to trance to clear mines, you should have just done it sooner. Because then what could have happened is you could have, like, instead of Hetero getting booped back and being like, oh, or booped rather, boop re getting booped back and then being like, oh, now I got to re-heal. Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Alright, that was fairly quick. I'm back. I don't know where I was. I don't know what tangent I was on at this point. Oh yeah, just trance sooner, because then you could just push faster and more aggressively, and you can clear mines just as easily as you did, just faster. I like this off angles because it puts you near boxes, and you should be consciously trying to use these boxes to protect yourself. The right side doesn't have anything like this, plus it gives you the mini packs. I really like this positioning here, especially since the Zen and the McCree are playing together. I don't know if this is being done consciously, but this is something that should be done consciously. Once you break into this space, and you can, excuse me, those two characters that are similar should always be trying to play together. And Zen and McCree have similar ranges and similar, like, oh, I'll just blow up if somebody dives me. Kind of like, that's just like, they're very alike. Okay, so you just threw away everything I complimented you for and just walked onto cart for no reason. Unfortunate. Good cap time, good cap. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns? I think there's only one person left now. Kind of trailing down into the end of this all anyway. How long is this? This is another 7 minutes. Holy shit. My throat's really killing me. I gotta get more used to all this talking for 3 hours on end. Okay, so let's look at our composition. let's look at our positioning after I take a sip of water. Okay, so we are running Rein D.Va again with Widow Hanzo, Lucio Ana. So Lucio's biggest benefit here is going to be able to moving the Rein back and forth very, very quickly. D.Va has mobility, so Lucio doesn't really need to move her around too much, and Ana's usually going to be pretty far back, but Lucio's good appeal for Ana. He could speed boost to her around if somebody dives her and then boot people away from her and create a lot of distance that way. But really Lucio's going to have like very few things to be doing with speed. He's mostly probably going to be sitting on healing, just shooting from high grounds. I think the biggest utility that you're going to have here on first point is actually booping people off of that bridge there into the water. But you got to be careful doing that because they're running a lot of like CC and cleave damage or things that are like easy to hit Lucio. Like it's not hard to hit Lucio as Winston. It's not hard to hit Lucio as D.Va if you just kind of like casually spray him. It's not hard to hit him as Doomfist if you just like slam an uppercut in a random location where he is. Lucio's can boop Lucio's pretty easily depending on your positioning on the wall and stuff like that. So you just got to be careful, and there's also not a ton for you to do to impact the game right now. As Lucio, I like the positioning of the Widow and the Ana. Well, I like the positioning of the Widow. I'm a little bit worried about the positioning of the Ana just because it puts you very, very out in the open. And if Ana gets picked, then this composition pretty much falls apart because it has really no healing beyond that. And the Lucio can do nothing but speed the rest of the team back to escape. And my fear is that the Ana's going to get picked. And I mean, we played this game and we won, but my fear is that the Ana's going to get picked and then you guys are going to overstay your welcome somewhere, not realizing how much healing and how much sustain you've lost by simply losing your Ana. So, as much as this composition I think is good for Rialto as a whole, I don't think it's good for this first point area right here with a lot of narrow corners. This first stretch is going to be good for Widow to try to get picks and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be difficult for your Ana to find a lot of value, and it's going to be difficult for your Hanzo to find a lot of value because there's only one real sight line to be taking. I do think, however, playing Ana back here is usually pretty damn good, especially if your tanks don't overcommit to that corner. Unless you want to be playing bridge specifically, there's no reason that your Ana can't play back here and your tanks can't not turn the corner. Because this will allow Ana to kind of like check all the way back and be able to still see everybody. This will also give Lucio like clear wall riding paths back and forth to be able to save her if anything happens. While Hanzo and Widow can kind of like play up more. That was unfortunate, I think. I don't know what just happened to him. I think he, like, hit the wall or something and wound up not getting where he wanted to go. That's not something I expect you guys to kind of, like, look out for often because we only play good Doomfist like that once every 3,000 years or something. If we start facing them more consistently, if Doom becomes meta or something like that, then we'll start, like, talking about Doom rollouts and what you have to be scared of. That's just, like, unfortunate that we could have had better reaction time once he slammed in. Alright, so Widow gets forced out. Something that we have to recognize here is once Widow gets forced out, our entire team has to rotate because we're built on snipers in this composition, so we have to play around our ability to play slow and get picks. It's kind of that boa constrictor idea again. We have to play around the enemies, get picks, slowly wiggle out their resources, and eventually we'll win the fight as long as our tanks can stay alive and our DPS can get picks fast enough. So I think that here we have to back up because our Widow gets forced out of her first position, and really she can't get as much value if all of the enemies are in this really narrow sight line. So we kind of want them to start breaking out into the open a little bit more so that she can, you know, get back onto a high ground somewhere and get her full value again. But unfortunately our Widow never oh, there we go. Okay. So Widow goes up there a little bit late, and that might just be grapple cooldown timing and stuff like that. But we're going to wind up falling apart because we don't retreat fast enough, we don't get the picks we need, and we're down players to begin with, and they just kind of roll over us. Now we have a Brig Ana, which I like. I like Brig Ana because it adds a little bit more like fortitude to the front line, whereas before we were very, very dependent on our DPS getting picks and our tanks just staying alive with Ana. But now we have a Brig who can kind of like, if Ana dies, Brig can kind of just like keep the team stalled out and keep things like neutral. It was a good retake. Lucio trapped behind, just another one of those situations where you could kind of look out for people who didn't die in the last fight. Okay, so we have McCree Hanzo now with Ryan Zarya against that Winston. I like the good stun, good sleep, good bursting down the Winston. Okay, we don't know that guy. I don't know what to say. He's not with us normally. It's just unfortunate that he backed up into the pulse bomb then. So this is another one of those situations where we kind of identify like communication issues or like a lack of communication as a whole, because let's see, we're all together here, right? Then our Ryan gets nanoed, and we react to something in the back, and it's not called, and the Ryan moves forward, and it's just like all of this space here, and it's gonna be more because he's still charging forward, is put between us and our Reinhardt, and we really need to not, you know? I understand that we're reacting something in the back, and that's good, but then, well, I won this nano was unnecessary. The team fight was over. And two, the Reinhardt has to understand that this has to be communicated to Boopery, and we have to be able to be on the same page so that we don't get that split. Because if they capitalize on the fact that Boop is so far forward, there's nothing we can do to save him, and he's dead. The Winston just being a second early or so, he might have been able to actually finish off Boop. So I think that bomb getting value is just a matter of like not playing close to cover again. I don't think there's a lot of cover that you could play from right now. And the main reason is because, hold on, let's go above. Let's get that above. Okay. So our tanks are playing here, which means they're only protecting like this space right here when you're working with a Ryan Zarya, right? Anything outside of this space, and really it's even smaller, we're talking about like this space right here, maybe even. Anything outside of this space, you're taking some sort of risk. And really, you're giving up. Hold on, let me give the enemies a color. Let's give them icky yellow. You're giving up all of this space out here to the enemies to be able to take for free, because they have, like, nobody's here to contest them, right? You have McCree Hanzo, so they'll have to walk through all the poke damage to get there. But there's no one, like, stopping them. There's no other tank stopping them. And what that means is for the rest of your supports, they can't use any of this space right here, right? They have to stay in this back quadrant. And because they're running a Winston, they also can't stretch too far away from you. So supports also can't move out of that zone of control that you have as a Ryan Zarya, because they can just get dove. So they really have to stay in this positioning right here. And in this positioning, there is no form of cover aside from the cart. And once Diva Bomb flies over and like clears this space back here, basically Diva's able to clear the whole space that you're in control of, because you're not taking control of much space to begin with, right? She's able to clear all of it. It would have been better if, as our tanks played up a little bit more, you know, either closer to this corner or closer to this corner, depending on where the enemies are coming from, and made the enemies fight for all of this space. What that would have allowed our supports to do is play closer to one of these pillars or in this courtyard area, maybe play back on this mini, maybe play a little bit. I mean, they could have played a little bit more back here, but it just is like there's not a lot of line of sight really when it comes to that one. But they could have played a bunch of different. They could have played on the tree even if they wanted to. They could have played back here, or they could have tried to play over here if they wanted to and just controlled this long awkward sight line here. But because our tanks don't take a lot of space, we never get the opportunity to get our supports into good positioning, and this bomb is able to get value because of it. Okay, so it looks like they're gonna get first point. Frame rates are kind of low again. Is it the pen? Is Epic Pen causing the frame rates? That'd be unfortunate. Okay, so we swap DPS here. Now we're on Echo. Just see how this winds up going. Okay, so this is a decent hold. I would have preferred if we held this corner instead, just give them a little bit of space. Teams tend to, at the higher levels, hold this corner instead because of the staircase and that bridge, the crosswalk up above. Because similarly to how I was pointing out on Hanamura, you could create a little bit of a bowl that the enemy team has to walk into as long as you control high ground properly. And it's a very good stall point. It's very hard to recontest back into because once you take control, the enemies don't get back to, like, you have all this space to poke them down. You have a bunch of space to retreat to and from. And they basically have to traverse an entire map's worth of distance to try to get back to cart. So if you just give them that one corner, you have a much more defensible location. It's just a little bit easier to hold. You're closer to the mega. There's these boxes on the right side that if you even wanted to have somebody flanking over there. But we take our fights where we did. It's also a little bit better to properly set up defenses and get everybody into their comfortable positions and set further back to do that than, you know, like aggressively push forward and then have to scramble to try to fight into your locations. Because fighting into locations is not as advantageous. It's not very good. So I like this rally in. I like all of these usage of ults to get into the fight. I think that's a great way to push a team back. Because it like I was saying earlier, ults can really be used as a way of kind of like replacing a person. So when you're using an ult when everybody's there, it's almost a way of just adding a person sometimes, right? A rallied Brig is basically as good as two Lucios in a way, or as two Brigs, because she's applying armor and she's doing whatever, you know? I would like to see a strat in the future. I don't know, I would have to test this, but if everybody groups here, let's say if we're in this type of situation, and we just Mei wall over and just fucking bombard them. Like you play like a really brawly Rein Zarya, Mei Reaper or something like that with like Brig and Moira, Brig and Bap, and then you just Mei wall over, and then you just like Echo's super out of position if you do something like that. So that's something I would like to see in the future us try out. I would like to see during this somebody take control of this like bridge, or if like McCree is fighting this Tracer, call it out, because Echo could have dashed up here from where she was. Like if you call like, oh, Tracer on catwalk or Tracer up on high grounds, we call this cathedral or lobby room if you want. But then, you know, like Echo and McCree can pincer together and get that free pick, and there's not a ton that the enemy team can do about it. Okay, that was an interesting engagement. I was actually a fairly clean engagement on their part. It was just a little bit weird because they couldn't all get there at the same time. That's a good duplication. Oof. That bomb was just too high. You just needed to let boosters run for a little bit longer before you actually threw it. The good thing about the bomb, though, was it zoned them away from our backline, or forced them onto one side because they were afraid of it, even if they didn't have to be. Cleared up some space for the Reinhardt to kind of chill for a second and not have to flip his shield everywhere. So we have a good amount of. So this is the instance I was talking about, right? So we have 4 alts up. We very easily could have taken this, and they only have 20 seconds. So we very easily could have like taken this fight a little bit earlier, a little bit ahead of the cart, and forced them to fight their way through our alts. Like if you just start hitting Y a little bit earlier, then I think in situations specifically like this, we can make fights a little bit harder for people at the very least, right? Because what was most concerning, looking at it from a third point perspective, is that you guys don't alt track right now, right? So you have no idea that they have Diva Bomb, and no idea that they're that close to, you know, Pulse Bomb and Blade. So they come around this corner understanding that they only have one chance at this, and they instantly throw Diva Bomb. The only reason that Diva Bomb doesn't kill all of you is because it's too high. And Mori's fading. Of course, it was a good fade. I guess breaking line of sight. It's not gonna hit them. All right, listen, fucking, I'm wrong. No, but this was a very, very good Diva Bomb in terms of timing. If the Diva Bomb had been a little bit lower, a little bit to the left, or, you know, a little bit to the right, like, she could have gotten a pick very easily with that, with just a little bit more of adjustment or a little bit more of a setup from her team. But they don't get any value out of it, so you guys luck out, and now you're able to use your ultimates freely. But that very well could have stopped your defense right there, because she comes around the corner and she yeets that shit instantly, and she doesn't get into the best position because she's bad practice, or she just doesn't know what she's looking to get out of that. But she's at least able to put pressure on the enemy team, and she opens up the chance of, you know, actually taking this. But now, after their one ult comes out, you guys just hit all of your Y buttons, and you're able to pretty much clean this up. That's a GG's. But that's one of the concerns, right? You have so many ultimates, you have so little time. Like, you can go take that fight a little bit earlier. Make them fight to try to get to you. You know, shatter them on their way to the cart. Maybe try to deny them even touching the cart if you can. But if they get the opportunity to use their ult first, then you're not going to be, and they manage to actually execute it properly, then you're going to be the one that winds up being punished, because you're going to be dead, and then you can't use your ults, and that's how that works. So that'll be everything for today, because I'm not going to go over the last one, because the last one I wound up playing and we wound up losing. I don't think it really counts. We rotated people around in the first place. But I'm going to set up something where with a condensed version of this, hopefully, where we can go over a few key things over a Zoom call. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully people can actually attend if it's scheduled ahead of time. Like I said, I'll probably do it for Thursday or Friday, closer to normal scrim times. It'll be like 9 o'clock or 8:30 or something, so that, you know, like, hopefully it fits in a good time slot for everybody. But for now, I'm going to sign off.